camera in the booth at Memorial Stadium.
Unfortunately, because that would have been gold.
Yes.
That would have gone as viral as the locker room video with
Yes! What a throw! Good morning, everybody. Welcome in.
I loved him quoting Marv Albert there on that one call.
Yes. I'm not sure what the name of the show is. I was not here yesterday. Thank you to Jimmy and Rob.
That could be a contest. Name the show.
Yeah. So I think they want to call it for now the Gary Sharp Show, but we've already done that before. We did that a while ago.
Yeah, that was a different property.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what the show is called. It's like Mornings with Gary and Friends.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's not Fox and Friends. It's Mornings with Gary and Friends. As we do welcome you, and good morning, particularly good morning to the Niners defense, which gave up 3 field goals last night to the Rams in the longest play 18. Not a particularly good morning to the, would you call him a protester that got crushed on the field with a gender reveal and got hit by Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner forgot to tackle Deebo Samuel, but a protester on the field he was able to tackle. As
good for him too.
Yes. Well, welcome you in. Good morning, Robbie.
Good morning. To be fair, the protester not built the same way as Deebo Samuel.
No, you probably had a lot better containment by the security guard that led you into Bobby Wagner drilling him.
Yeah, I think that's for the security guard, actually unsung hero here, filtering the play to Bobby Wagner.
He understands how that's supposed to do.
Exactly.
You have leverage on the outside where you have somebody that's going to clean it up.
You know, it's good to have security that understands the defensive scheme so that the stars like Bobby Wagner can make the play. And you just appreciate his sacrifice as he needs a little love.
But let's be honest, last night, and then there's lots to talk about the Niners beating the Rams and Jimmy G and being 7-0 against the Rams in the regular season, is you play stupid games, people, you get stupid prizes. I mean, well, that's what life is about. That's what life is about. And if you run on the field and you're protesting, you know, he had the T-shirt on, so people immediately Googling what he was protesting, and he's got he's having a gender reveal on the field.
Yeah.
I would say after that hit, that ain't a man anymore. He's missing something.
I was going to say, hopefully this child works out because I'm not sure he's going to have another.
But good on the Manning cast for bringing it up. You know, they always told you in TV, like if you ever have somebody run on the field, or like at the College World Series, where we used to have a run of people hopping over the wall and running on the field, not supposed to say anything. Good content is always better than no content when you can hear the crowd reacting and all of a sudden there's a long pause.
Yes.
The Manning cast last night addressing it and then breaking it down compared to Buck and Aikman, who are told, do not say anything about it. Maybe say something about it, but we're never going to show it. Or Kevin Harlan's cut, which Kevin Harlan seems to be at every game where there's somebody that runs on the field.
And he does an immaculate job of taking you there.
Last night it was, there was the idiot on the field. Now last night was, that guy is headed to the slammer.
You know, you make a good point about Kevin Harlan there. Maybe there's a little conspiracy. maybe he got so famous for the first one, he's starting to slip a little money to these protesters that get him to his games.
Was he doing the Timberwolves Grizzlies playoff series?
Oh, that's a good question.
When we didn't like what Glenn Taylor was doing to the Chickens, so we had people protesting. Was he doing that?
He does do basketball.
Yeah.
Interesting. We need to dig further into this. Kevin Harlan, the friend of the protester.
But last night, the protester went down, and so did the Rams. Nice
also
hat.
Hard.
Nice hat that you're wearing.
Thank you. You know, I got to represent a little bit.
The Niner defense, first of all, the offense, outside of Deebo Samuel, and no one has created like him. And his 57-yard catch and run, where 52 yards were after he caught the ball.
Yep.
I mean,
not a good pass, by the way.
No. But that's your quarterback.
Yes, that's Jimmy G.
Who you ride such the highs and lows every single game with him.
Yes, he's got the highest variance of, I think, any quarterback in the league because he's got all the skills, right? He's got everything you would want. You only see it about a third of the time. A third of the time you see something where you're like, how is this man in the NFL? And then the rest is just mediocre.
Yep.
And so that's, you know, when you watch the 49ers on a regular basis, you understand why they wanted to move on, right? But they're so good at all these other spots that it's hard to justify breaking in a new quarterback, which they finally tried to do this year. And, you know, Trey Lance is out for the year. But, yeah, it's an emotional roller coaster because he will just drop some dimes. And you're like, oh, Jimmy G, here we go. And then he'll go 3 series without completing a pass. and you're just completely dumbfounded because it doesn't even look like the same guy. He's got basically the equivalence of, multiple quarterback personalities. He runs the whole gamut. Bo Davis.
Wow. Hey, I know Jimmy G has the highs, and the lows. Man, you got to be kind to Bo Davis. That wasn't his fault.
It wasn't, but that's when I think of the worst quarterbacking performance I can ever remember, it's always Bo Davis. And I'm not saying it's his fault, but his name was in the stat sheet. All right, that's how it is.
Rest in peace, Bo Davis' football career, that is.
I was going to say he's still alive, I'm pretty sure.
In the dead or alive game, Bo Davis is alive, but on that night in Lubbock, Texas, his football career ended. At least you have the defense, though. As everybody knows this, I mean, DeMarco Ryan is what he has done with that defense.
Yeah.
Last year they were good. They've got plenty of pieces. I mean, Nick Bosa is a terror. Nick Bosa lived in the backfield.
Total freak.
So they only given up a little over 9 points a game. And, the longest play the Rams had last night was 18 yards. They were great in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
They held them to 3 field goals. And you should be giddy because now the next quarterback you face is Baker Mayfield.
Oh, well, and honestly, it shouldn't have even been 3 field goals because they dropped an interception on the last one, right? And, yeah, when you're going from Matt Stafford to Baker Mayfield, you got to feel great about that, right? I mean, I can't imagine what Baker Mayfield's going to look like against this defense. Like, it's weird in the NFL to see a team that looks faster than everyone else because everyone's pretty much the same general level of athleticism. The 49ers look faster than everyone else on defense.
They do.
And it's weird to see in an NFL game.
And I think I said DeMeco Ryans. But the Rams look sluggish. And I don't know if it's a Super Bowl hangover. It's what you do in the offseason leading up, whether it be now some injuries that are creeping up. But Matthew Stafford behind a beleaguered offensive line, do you think they approach Andrew Whitworth and say, is that TV career really that good? Do you want to come back and save Matthew Stafford? Because Matthew Stafford is running for his life.
Oh, he's getting abused.
And I don't think he's 100%, but he doesn't trust many options on that team right now. I think almost it seemed like every one of his targets was to Kupp, who is having a great start to the season quietly for a 2-2 team, and then Higbee.
It's because he's getting 30 targets a game.
Yeah, but those are really the only two that it seemed like Stafford last night targeted.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he doesn't trust anything. The offense is kind of like, He had a sideline meltdown. Jalen Ramsey is being toasted.
Yes.
He's showing up in some highlight reel plays where that's not
on
him making the highlight.
Wrong end of the highlight reel. Yeah. He's on the wrong side of the dunk poster these days.
They're defensively, whatever they're trying to do. Now, they still have Aaron Donald, and it was wise for the Niners at some point last night to say, hey, we're going to block him.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because on a couple plays, they're like, no, we don't need to, and it didn't go well, as you can imagine.
I'm no offensive coordinator, but I know if I'm playing the Rams, it's like, hey, let's just put like 4 bodies on 99.
Yeah, I'm not the offensive guru that Kyle Shanahan is, but in general, as a football layman, you should probably at least throw someone in the path of the best defensive football player we've seen in, I don't know, 30 years. Yeah. Just an idea. I don't know.
But they're blitzing a lot, but they're getting no pressure. Like on the touchdown by Deebo Samuel, which is an incredible run.
Yes.
I mean, Joe Buck nailed the call. Jerry Rice drinking wine, which is so San Francisco.
In a bow tie.
It looked like a rum and Coke. I was wondering what he was drinking.
I mean, it did, but it looks so San Francisco.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Jerry Rice, smooth as silk.
Oh, yeah.
To have that run like he did, I mean, he's dangerous. There's no doubt about it. Nobody else is created like him. But with all of that said last night, and you being a Niners guy, is you had to be a little bit concerned because there was a point in the game where, like, if you just check the box score, it was one side. I think the Niners were averaging 7 yards per play.
Mm-hmm.
Rams were at 3.3, and it was a 1-score game.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, what is Kyle Shanahan doing to the Niners again?
It should have been over before it was. It felt like it was over before it was.
It felt like the Rams were down 3 scores.
At least. The 49ers were dominating that game basically from the jump. And until late, I mean, it was a 1-score game until the pick 6, right? Like that was That was concerning. I will give you that. But part of that, I think, is, and I don't want to put this all on Jimmy G, but you kind of call the game a little differently with Jimmy G than I think Shanahan wants to. And I don't know if that's still they're adjusting a little bit from the plans they had for Trey Lance, or if, I mean, this is kind of the Jimmy G experience in a nutshell, though, because they do try and protect him from himself a little bit. And so the scores end up being a little more conservative than you would see normally in a game that is that one-sided, because they do, it's almost like an Iowa offense a little bit, not this year's Iowa offense, because damn, but most year Iowa.
Hey, Spencer Petras made a really nice pass on Saturday.
A really nice pass. It's his first of the season. But it's one of those deals where, Iowa a lot of times will feel like they're dominating a game and they'll be up like 6 points because they just don't trust their offense and they're incredibly conservative with some of those calls. It's kind of the same way with Jimmy G, where you're not going to put him in a spot unless you absolutely have to, where he can lose the game. And for the most part, that works out for the 49ers. You see the what is it, 32-15 now with him as a starter, and very bad with him as not a starter since 2017. It generally works out for him until you get to the playoffs and you get to a spot where it's like, hey, the quarterback matters here because everybody's good. And then you have your Chiefs Super Bowl, you have your Rams NFC Championship game last year. You have these situations where handling Jimmy G with kid gloves isn't going to work, because those one-score games that you end up winning in the regular season because your defense gets a pick six and pulls it away, all of a sudden turn into, oh, the other team's really good, they're not going to hand you something. You have to take it from them. And Jimmy G is not good enough to take it away.
So last night, 24-9, as you heard here on The Zone. Niners beat the Rams. We'll talk about the other story that is around the NFL, and that, of course, has to do with concussion, where I think Mike McDaniel unfairly is getting crushed. But he's the one that is in front of the cameras trying to explain the situation with Tua, and he should not be in front of the cameras. Todd Bowles was the same way yesterday, talking about his tight end who got concussed on Sunday night in the loss to Kansas City. All right, welcome in, everybody. We're just going to call it the mornings on 1620 The Zone, and Gary and Robbie are here today. Coming up a little bit later on the
Welcome back to the radio.
The lineup brought to you by the roofers at John Higgins Weather Guard. Sam McEwen will join us coming up at 7:30. We got sound from Lincoln yesterday. Mickey, Casey, and the boys spoke on a short week headed to New Jersey, where Nebraska should be favored.
I would think so. Yeah. I mean,
this is Rutgers, who you don't know who's going to play quarterback, against defenses that are upright and have a pulse, which outside of Wagner is everybody they played. They have not put up, just big crooked numbers.
Good defense, though.
I think they have a defensive-minded coach.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
I'm not all enamored with Rutgers. Now, I understand I'm not overreacting to what happened on Saturday night, because we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is a Rutgers team where you go, oh, boy.
Not scary.
No.
Not a scary defense, but I
think for Rutgers, kind of a disappointing start to the season.
Okay, fair.
Throw out the Ohio State game, where they actually led 7-0. But I think a little bit disappointing for Rutgers' start.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair. I mean,
just listening to them in the offseason, I think Greg Schiano thought they would be a better football team. Now, they're 3-2, but they're 0-2 in the Big Ten, and they could wake up Saturday morning and be 0-3 in a game where I think if they're looking at going to a bowl, Rutgers says we've got to win Friday night at home.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I looked at this game early before the season for Nebraska and said this is kind of a dangerous game for them. First true road game, short week of prep. Now that was before the coaching changes and everything. But this for Rutgers, if you have any sort of expectations for this season, you mark it. I mean, it's kind of the same for Nebraska, right? Both of these teams look at this game as, hey, there's not a ton of opportunities where we're going to be, let's call it a coin flip game. There's not a ton of those left on the schedule. Both teams are probably looking at that as, hey, this is one we have to get to feel any sort of good way about this season.
So Sam will join us coming up at 7:30. Brian Christopherson, who will be in Piscataway, New Jersey on Friday night. And then he told me that he's going into the city. He's traveling out there with Michael Bruns from Husker 24/7, and they're taking him into the city for the first time.
Ooh.
But he doesn't want to be a tourist.
Well, I mean, he is, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's
okay to buy a T-shirt.
No, there's certain things that you go to in New York City. I mean, you got to see the naked cowboy.
Sure. So are you doing the Times Square thing, first timer?
You probably, if you've never been there to be just overwhelmed, you probably got to go to Times Square. You go down to the 9/11 memorial.
Sure. Yeah,
you somehow find a way to see Lady Liberty.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, I don't know, do you go to a show?
Yeah, I've never been to New York.
Or you just walk around?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You get
your steps in.
You get the one experience on the subway that just saying, God, I'm glad I live in Nebraska.
I gotta say, I'm not sure I would do the subway experience. That doesn't sound like it's for me. I don't like being trapped with weirdos. Like you can't escape the subway, right? Like you've got
Jimmy. Are you cool? Because I think you might be describing this little.
I was going to say the door is closed in here.
Yeah.
This ship might have sailed on that one.
That might be the line of the day. I don't like being trapped with weirdos.
Well, listen,
mornings 6 to 10.
I don't. I mean, I've hung out with Gary enough. I don't consider.
Okay, so I'm not a weirdo.
Yeah, you're not a weirdo.
Thankfully,
we get along. I spoke with Jimmy briefly before the show.
We go back 45 minutes.
He at least
like we've known each other 2 hours.
I wouldn't categorically classify him as a weirdo yet. There's still time. Also, let's be honest. I don't feel trapped here because I think I could get through both of you. No offense.
Okay.
But I think
not going to fight you on
between me and the door, I don't feel like I have a ton of resistance.
I've seen your weightlifting videos. I would Olay you.
Or you'd look like the 49ers offensive line with Aaron Donald last night. Just be like, oh no, just go ahead, Mr. Donald.
Hey,
through the double team.
By the way, this little exchange right here and what Ravi just said, Ravi's matured. I thought he was going to use a Nebraska offensive line reference.
No, see, I was
there you go.
I was trying to be positive. People forget. Positive guy over here about the Nebraska football team.
You got your wish. Now things have changed.
It wasn't even my wish. It was like what had to happen.
Well, it had to happen, and that's what they say in Madison too.
Yeah, that was. I did not think that had to happen.
This
weekend.
We will discuss Andy Kendi, who is from Wisconsin or from Illinois, but worked in Wisconsin. I'm sure he's got some thoughts because a lot of people now it's become into the debate of the Power 5 jobs that are open, which is a better job, Wisconsin or Nebraska. Well, look at it this way: what is the better job recently? What is the better job potentially down the road?
It's a different conversation,
They're
right?
two separate. Wisconsin is the former. Nebraska is the latter.
Wisconsin's currently a better program. Nobody's arguing that. Who has the higher ceiling as an institution with their football program? That's the different question here. And I think that's pretty clearly Nebraska. Wisconsin's trying, but they are playing a lot of catch up. If you know anything about kind of their facilities right now and the resources or lack thereof sometimes around that program, you're having a very different conversation.
Now they have unveiled a $300 million plan, but it is wild to think. And this kind of shows you the power and the success of a Barry Alvarez. They don't even have a 100-yard practice facility. We're talking about Wisconsin.
Yeah.
The University of Wisconsin football, which has been the bell cow for the West Division since they split the divisions, the typical 9-4 team, they do not have a 100-yard practice facility.
You can't kick indoors.
How is that even possible nowadays?
They've been good for 30 years. That's the crazy part, right?
They've overcome some challenges to be successful, but that's why recently compared to potential, I think are completely different discussions.
100. I mean, it's the reason Brett Bielema left is he didn't feel like he had the resources. And like, listen, it didn't work out for him in Arkansas. I get that. But that's the reason he left. He didn't think he had the resources at Wisconsin to go from where they were, which, by the way, was 3 straight Big Ten championship games with him, to where he wanted to be, which is national championships, right? He was there, had been there not just as the head coach, but as an assistant as well, and looked at the landscape and said, I like my chances better at Arkansas. Like, if you're Wisconsin, that's kind of a damning thing to have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have...
And there's the academic. I don't know enough about getting into Madison. I love the city of Madison. I don't know enough to follow up when people say it is a difficult school to get into. You remember Gary Anderson first brought that up, that it's difficult to get people into UW Madison. I mean, you can get into Nebraska if you're, again, upright and have a pulse and you're able to spell cat with, when we spot you, the C and the T.
Well, listen, it's not
Old Terry Bradshaw joke. Okay.
It's not your Northwestern, Michigan.
Mhm.
It's not in that category. Northwestern, I think, is under 10%. Michigan is under 20%. I believe Wisconsin hovers around 50 based on what I'm seeing here. So it's not, you're not talking about Notre Dame, Stanford, Northwestern, Michigan to try and get kids in there. Is it a good school? Yeah, sure. I'm not taking anything away from that, but it's not, it's not like Washington State or anything or Arizona State, but it's not, to me, I don't think that's a prohibiting factor.
Well, there's also part of the discussion, and again, we'll chat about this this morning. Is you have two programs that have two legendary head coaches that at some point in their post-coaching career were athletic directors and have a lot of power. Barry Alvarez, no longer in Madison, physically in the University of Wisconsin athletic director's office, works for the Big Ten. Tom Osborne, not physically, but what does everybody say? What happens around here? Well, did you get T.O.'s blessing?
Yeah.
Was T.O. okay with this? Can we get T.O. involved?
There's a godfather figure to it all.
What is the thing that's come out with Chris McIntosh? Which the irony of Nebraska and Wisconsin having a alum that's an athletic director, firing an alum and putting in as an interim an alum. It's kind of weird.
It is super weird. Well, and having
you are hearing in Wisconsin, well, Chris McIntosh wouldn't have done this without Barry Alvarez's blessing. Okay, if we're trying to compare, pros and cons, well, at the University of Nebraska, you don't need that blessing anymore. No, and if you do, we're doing it wrong, and we're going to go down the same path. But I believe that
you think we finally cut the ties.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if Wisconsin they've been able to do that yet.
Is it because Trev has enough built-in credibility?
Because Trev Alberts is not a puppet.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay,
because I think until recently,
who's been in the athletic director office, and
clowns.
And Eichhorst and Osborne were, that was sideways.
Yeah,
but there was still enough of an influence that the athletic director at Nebraska has basically been a puppet.
Yes,
until now. Now, does the current athletic director listen to people? Certainly. Why not? Why wouldn't you? There's a lot of people that have opinions and well thought out opinions that you're going to lean on for advice. But at the end of the day, I have more faith in Trev compared to previous athletic directors that the decision they make is their decision. It is not, hey, you got to do this because he feels that way. Where I wonder at Wisconsin, is this the move to say, all right, now the new athletic director is his own man. Thank you, Barry. You'll always be part of it, just like T.O. will.
Sure.
But the athletic director has to operate on their own, or why are they in that position?
Yeah, no, I totally agree that it's a toxic way to run any organization, but we'll use athletic departments here because that's what we're talking about. To have somebody outside of that organization with no title, with no accountability, with no checks and balances, to have that much influence over a program. That's a terrible way to run things. I think until recently, that's how things were run. I also wonder, the reason I hesitated when you said that was because, and I don't know how much truth there is to this, but there were the rumors last year when it seemed like Frost might get let go last year, that certain influential people in the state were kind of working the phone banks to try and keep Scott Frost in position for an extra year here. Obviously, that ended up happening. I don't know if it's because of that behind the scenes work and working the phone banks or not, but that's why I hesitated a little bit with Trev, because I do think he's his own person. I do think he makes his own decisions. I don't think he's a puppet by any means. I just think that Osborne has so much influence that, okay, maybe he doesn't call and ask permission, but is there a conversation there at all? Just be like, hey, this is probably what's going to happen. Because that's a little different.
There's probably more of a conversation, or more likely to a conversation, between the current athletic director and the Hall of Fame legendary football coach than the ex-football coach and his former coach.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right, mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West 1 Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. The man's 85.
He is, yeah.
Let him enjoy his retirement. We don't need to go this, and I bring this up a lot. This is not new because this bugs me. we don't need, every time something happens, we don't need to run to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is everybody's first reaction.
We don't need to do that. We don't need to have an exclusive with T.O.
Yeah.
Let T.O. just live his life. Okay.
I think it does help with who Trev is. Trev being who he is helps with that situation because he's got probably as much credibility as anyone not named T.O. Is that fair? In terms of the amount of trust people place in him? And that's happened pretty quickly because that wasn't always the case. There was a pretty good amount of animosity after some of his moves at Omaha, right? Mm-hmm. So to go from that, where people were fairly upset, to, you have people tweeting things like, "In Trev we trust," and "I don't care who the new coach is as long as Trev picks them," and things like that. And that's a pretty dramatic shift in his favor and in his credibility that I think helps takes the spotlight off of what T.O. thinks. Takes it off of, oh, well, let's go ask Osborne what he thinks about this situation. And let's go check in with him, make sure he's okay with everything. I think because of how much people trust Trev, that's less of a tendency now.
Well, I fully believe that. So we're in agreement there. All right. Coming up in about an hour, Sam McEwen will stop by. There's Robbie sitting in this morning. Jimmy here as well. It is the mornings. Mornings on 1620 The Zone.
Just keep trying out names. We'll get one.
So people were giving me names yesterday.
Any good ones?
LSU Rob went with staying sharp in the morning.
Ooh.
Yeah. Not for me. No.
That would be a little difficult for you.
Well,
yeah. Staying Lula in the morning. Lululemon. All right, 6:37. We're off and running back in on a Tuesday. We got lots for you. We will discuss the Big Ten West, the Wild Wild West, or actually, is it? It was just a wild Saturday. No, I think it's a discussion with you have 6 teams that are tied for first, and then Wisconsin is 0-2, like we all thought.
I was going to say that's kind of the funniest part about it is the one team that's not tied for first was the favorite.
Yes,
incredible.
All right, there is Ravi. I'm Gary. Jimmy here as well in 1620 The Zone.
Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Nebraska needs that underdog mentality, even if they start getting good again. And unfortunately, there's just this attitude sometimes that exists that's like, well, we've been there before, so we can get there again. Well, yeah, you can get there.
It's so many steps down the road.
You've got to have that edge.
Yeah.
And you've got to also realize where you are right now, and where you are is in a very, very, very low place.
Yeah. Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Mostly cloudy, but staying warm on Tuesday. South breeze around 10 to 15 miles per hour. Any daytime showers will stay west of the metro. A better chance for spotty showers in the evening into Tuesday night. Highs around 81. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Join Genesis Health Clubs for 36 cents for their 36th anniversary and get the rest of the year free.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton, AC, heating, plumbing, and more. Time-saving traffic center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a little bit of a delay northbound along the JFK near 25th and Q Street. And then on center, be prepared for some minor slowdowns from 183rd to 168th. Then on L, it looks like you should be prepared for a little bit of a delay near 90th Street. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Burton AC, Heating, Plumbing, and more.
Hi, I'm Mark Evans, owner of Burton AC, Heating, Plumbing, and more. Join us in supporting Food Bank for the Heartland. Right now, if you donate 5 cans of food, you can get a furnace safety inspection and cleaning for only $55. Request service at justcallburton.com.
Trees supply oxygen, provide shelter, and reduce pollution. They're a symbol for life. Lanahaw Nurseries is the metro area's premier homegrown tree source. Leave a legacy that matters. Rooted in quality, unmatched value. Lanahaw Nurseries, 192nd and Center.
The 2022-23 Creighton sports season holds great promise for competing for Big East and national honors, and 1620 The Zone will be there all year long. The 1620 The Jays podcast covers all of Blue Jay sports, from volleyball, soccer, and cross country in the fall to basketball in the winter, plus baseball, softball, tennis, golf, and rowing. Join me, John Bishop, along with Josh Peterson and Connor Happer each week for interviews with Creighton student athletes and coaches. It's the 1620 The Jays podcast. New episodes each Friday on 1620thezone.com and on Twitter at 1620 The Jays.
MD West One's team of neurosurgical spine specialists is the largest and most advanced in the greater Omaha metro. MD West One has been voted the #1 private practice and #1 in neurosurgery and spine by Best of Omaha year after year. They can help if you're suffering from recurring neck and back pain, weakness or numbness in your extremities, sciatica pain, or any other recurring issues stemming from your neck or back. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the spine team at MD West One.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1, what's your why? More epic energy, better sleep, blow off steam? Step 2, join Planet Fitness for $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime, and get moving. Go cardio crazy in our clean and spacious clubs, or get down with some dumbbells and strength equipment. Step 3, bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, October 14th. It's glow time. See club for details.
This view was worth a hike.
Right? And it's a good way to stay on top of my health.
Yes, I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. Have you screened for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. It's more treatable when caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and it's used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit Cologuard.com.
I'm in.
The Madness Haunted House will terrify you to your very soul. Come, your pants all over the 2 acres of fear at Pioneer Trail Orchard. Screaming for 30 minutes until you can scream no more. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram. FearTheMad.com.
The big box stores have a secret. When you walk out the door with a new purchase, that's where the service ends. At Ty's Outdoor Power and Service, you get great deals on brands like Hustler, Toro, Honda, and Steel. Plus, you get a dedicated, experienced service center. With annual maintenance and repairs, your equipment will last longer and perform when you need it most. See us in Lincoln, Omaha, or Gretna and get 10% off your residential service. Visit TysOutdoorPower.com, promo code radio, or mention radio to repeat.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call on the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferys. 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back in. 6:44 on a Tuesday morning, the 4th of October. Did you realize that baseball is still going on?
I did. Not by a lot, but I did notice.
Last night, Philadelphia clinched the spot. Aaron Judge did not hit a home run. He's got 3 games to get to 62.
And we're going to break in every time he comes to bat. Doesn't matter what you're watching.
It would be a little funny if he lands on, like if he just stays on. It'd be a little funny if he stays on 61.
I think it'd be a lot funny.
Because people
are haters.
I'm not a hater. I thought it was really cool. I legitimately thought it was cool that he was seemingly going to get to like maybe 65. 62 doesn't really do it for me. I also think it's a little annoying how people are pretending like the 6 best single season home run seasons didn't exist. Because, I mean, listen, I remember when Barry hit 73.
Mm-hmm.
I remember 70 and 65 from McGuire. You got what, 66, 64. Is there one more 60 from? So he's got 3 60 home run seasons, doesn't he? Like, we're just pretending like all those don't exist.
So Judge they play at 1 today in Texas. So be prepared for cut-ins on whatever favorite yelling show you're watching. But how about Albert Pujols? Last night, he hit 703. Since September 21st, he's got 5 home runs. Like Pujols is...
I think that's a cool
stat. Yes, I do think that's
Pujols
cool.
Since the All-Star break has got 18 home runs.
Yeah.
And in that same time period, from September 21st to now, Judge only has 1. Judge only has 1 home run in his last 11 games.
Yeah, he is struggling a lot. And if you're watching those cut-in at-bats...
Well, that's the thing. If you don't follow baseball at all...
You think he's terrible.
Yeah, you're like...
He looks awful.
What is so... I thought this guy was going for the Triple Crown. Every time they cut in...
He strikes out.
Yeah, or he walks. I mean, he never hits a home run.
Here's what I will say about Aaron Judge. And this is not because I'm a Red Sox fan. I actually really like Aaron Judge because I'm a big exit velocity nerd, and his exit velocities are ungodly. Makes me really happy.
Okay.
It's a weird thing to like, but I do.
You have my attention.
Now I know how you look at sports.
It's not all sports. Just like
you like Deebo Samuel because of his exit velocity once he catches a football.
No, I like it because he just tanks people. I like what I like, Gary. All right, and exit velocity is one of the things that I weirdly really like. Okay, but and so I really like Aaron Judge, but the fact that he actually is getting pitches to hit, and I think it was Aaron Boone was kind of complaining about, they're not really pitching to him. I was like, Barry Bonds got like 1 pitch out every 10 days to hit, and he hit it every single time. Aaron Judge is getting dramatically more good looks than a lot of those guys did, but especially Bonds.
Look at in Bonds' year. Look at the intentional walks compared to Judge.
That's what I mean.
I mean,
look at the strikeouts compared to Judge.
I'd like to see him do it because I do like him. I think he's a likable person. He's
I do
humble.
too.
It's not about me. He's, I always like guys that bet on themselves.
Yes.
And he bet on himself.
Oh,
and he's going to get a contract
Gonna
in the
make,
offseason that starts with a 3.
Only a 3?
Yeah, I think only a 3.
Okay, fair
That
enough.
could be a high 3.
Yeah, fair.
But it'll start
I
with
thought
a
he
3.
might get 4.
I think it'll start with a 3.
He'll be well-to-do.
Fair. I don't think he'll be struggling one way or the other.
I always like how we, as sports fans or in the media, talk about other people's money.
Yeah.
Like we just kind of throw it around like, 3. You know what? Paul Chris left $9 billion on the table. Well, why are you paying a gigantic buyout? Isn't that a weird conversation? How we talk about other people's money? Like, oh my God, how could you do that? You know what? Not my money.
It's because it's monopoly money. In when it's that, when you're talking about those sums, for most of us, that's not ever going to be realistic amounts of money, right?
Yep.
And so it's all just numbers. It's just it's not even money in my mind. It's just a representation of value, really. And so it's like, you call it in dollars, but really you're just like, hey, this is how valuable Aaron Judge is, or this is how valuable it is to get Paul Chryst out of your building. Like it's all monopoly money. Like you're not talking about like duffel bags. They're not walking out with $400 million in duffel bags for Aaron Judge, like they do in college football, dropping the bag. But it just doesn't feel real, right? So that's why we feel so comfortable talking about it, because it's just imaginary. You could call it 400 million kerfuffles, and it'd be like the same thing because it's not real to any of us.
Well, he's gonna get
a lot of kerfuffles. Yeah.
All right, 6:49. Sam McEwen's coming up the next hour. Ravi is in today. I'm Gary. Jimmy here as well. Mickey Joseph spoke yesterday, and they are on the full. Not they. There's a lot of they out there on overdrive about Mickey and the head coaching job at Nebraska off a Saturday night. This is kind of the reaction every time that Mickey is in front of a microphone or explains the process. Does it mean that he's on a fast track to getting the job? No. But what it does, every time that the interim head football coach at Nebraska does something, it is such an indictment of the guy that used to be in that role. Every single time he does something, because you go, wow, that seems so simple. Communication with players, a pulse of your team, an open door. Isn't that supposed to be normal? Why wasn't that?
That's just called coaching, guys.
We'll get into that relationship as well. 6:50. It's mornings on 1620 Zone.
The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
Brent Rasmussen of Mortgage Specialists.
When is the best time to buy a house? The answer is now. It's always now. With interest rates creeping up, the real estate market has slowed down, except for the people that were planning on upgrading their home because of life changes. But the one thing we want to let people know is, even if you buy a house now at the higher rate, we anticipate rates to fall. That means you can buy your house now and refinance down the road. Lots of folks think waiting this out is a good strategy. The trouble is values keep rising, so waiting doesn't really help. Plus, if rates come back down, the market will just get busy again, meaning you'll be competing against more buyers with multiple offers, and you might not get the house that you want. We're seeing the market starting to get back to normal, which is a good thing for buyers and sellers.
Click mtg-specialists.com. NMLS number 5918, Equal Housing Lender.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has been making your game day experience one to remember for 18 years with our award-winning char-buffed wings and $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. But now your game day just got bigger and better with Oscar's newly upgraded audio-video system. Cheer on your favorite teams this season in front of a 22-foot LED video wall, showing up to 8 games at once, and of course, 40 TVs and massive dual projectors. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Brookside Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Brookside Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 402-671-7777. That's 402-671-7777. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Brookside Medical Clinic now. 402-671-7777.
Here's to days spent roaming and to sleeping beneath the stars, to casting another line and letting time float by. From Shadron State Park to Indian Cave State Park and every recreation area, historical and state park in between. Here's to your adventures, your memories. Here's to going out and enjoying your Nebraska State Parks. Plan your next trip today at yournebraskaparks.org. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
I know I need to pay attention to my health, but I just can't seem to find the time. Between rushing to work and taking care of the kids, there's not much time left over for me. So I decided to start small by eating more fruits and vegetables and being more active. And then I got the family to make some changes too. We started by keeping a bowl of fresh fruit on the counter, and I limit the amount of sweet snacks I keep in the house. I've also found some creative ways to add more vegetables to our meals. We're taking more walks, and on the weekends, we head down to the pool at the rec center. It doesn't happen every day, but it does happen. You don't have to change your entire life to be healthier. Just make some simple changes and include your family. You'll see how easy and fun it can be.
You can make a difference. Eat smart, play hard. And when you do, your kids will too. A challenge from USDA.
Hi, I'm Casey Kane. You would think that as NASCAR's 2004 Rookie of the Year, I get my biggest thrill driving fast. But it's off the racetrack that I get one of life's greatest rewards, helping others through volunteer service. Working with kids is one way that I try to make a difference. The first time I visited chronically ill children in the hospital, I found out just how rewarding volunteering could be. By giving a little of my time, it brightened their day. I was so inspired that I started my own foundation to help sick children and kids without an opportunity to have a better chance at life. Through volunteer service, you learn things about the people you are helping, and you find out a few things about yourself. Volunteering is a rush, just like taking the checkered flag. Go to volunteer.gov to find out what drives you.
This is President George W. Bush. USA Freedom Corps has a volunteer opportunity that's just right for you. Visit volunteer.gov. When you help your neighbor, you help your nation.
MD West One's team of neurosurgical spine specialists is the largest and most advanced in the greater Omaha metro. MD West One has been voted the #1 private practice and #1 in neurosurgery and spine by Best of Omaha year after year. They can help if you're suffering from recurring neck and back pain, weakness or numbness in your extremities, sciatica pain, or any other recurring issues stemming from your neck or back. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the spine team at MD West One.
Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard has something fun for all ages. New this year is Stefan's Country Drive. Antique cars where the kids are in the driver's seat. Plus, there's a new carousel. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard is also opening a whole new part of the farm, the cider mill, with more than 50 other attractions included with admission. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard is the place to be this fall. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard, Gretna, Nebraska. Now open through October 31st.
If you love food, love fun, love fall, you'll love Vallis Pumpkin Patch best of all.
This is Scott Schultz from Host Coffee. 2022 marks our 50th year and business has never been better. We continue to grow and add new customers. Many employers are looking for new ideas for their staff as people return to the office. Our pantry service is a great office amenity for staff and guests. Fresh food, snacks, coffee, water, and other beverages for employees and guests. Enhance your office experience with pantry service from Host Coffee. Learn more at hostcoffee.net.
1620 The Zone.
All right, coming up in the next hour, right after the top of the hour, we'll get into some of the stuff that Mickey Joseph said yesterday down in Lincoln ahead of the Friday night game in New Jersey against 3-2, 0-2 in the Big Ten Rutgers. But the more that Mickey talks and acts and you see the result of his team where there's just pure joy and there's like a release of any tension and you can play freely and what that did just to win a football game, not to all of a sudden say Nebraska's back, but to win a football game. But there is the overreaction to a hire him now, Trev. Oh, yeah. But as I said,
absolutely.
There's the part of what Mickey is doing, what most normal football coaches do, that continues to be a reflection on what was wrong. And we'll get into that in the next hour. But one of the things he said yesterday, and and another element is you have Casey Thompson, who is pretty much an open book, talking about injuries. It's supposed to say anything about injuries, and he talks about everything.
All of them.
Casey Thompson is unique. He is like a person in that role at Nebraska that we've not had in a long time. The personality, the way he approaches questions, just the way he carries himself. But for him to be open like that, and then to hear Mickey yesterday say that, yeah, players can come talk to me. And the reaction from players is, yeah, that wasn't necessarily always the case. How? How was that not the case? Well,
that's a really good question, Gary.
We will discuss coming up after the top of the hour. There's Robbie. I'm Gary. Jimmy here as well. Mornings on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One, Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burden, AC, heating, plumbing, and more, time-saving traffic center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a little bit of a delay northbound along the JFK near 25th and Q Street. And then on center, be prepared for some minor slowdowns from 183rd to 168th. Then on L, it looks like you should be prepared for a little bit of a delay near 90th Street. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Scary Acres.
It's time for the gates to open.
Scary Acres is back. Omaha's ultimate haunted attractions. Scary Acres now open. 172nd and Giles. Sponsored in part by Stereo West, Raising Cane's, and Hijinks.
Sure, the weather is nice and mild now, but before too long, it's going to be cold, windy, with tons of snow and ice. Is your roof ready? The time to make it ready is now. That's why Complete Industries uses quality products like Scotchgard protected Atlas Pristine shingles. Sturdy, durable, and reliable. So when the storm hits, you'll be more than ready. Complete Industries also works with your insurance. Get a free inspection and estimate on roofs, gutters, siding too.
Visit CompleteIndustries.com or call 402-935-0554.
Bill Jones.
And Olivia.
Here again for Jones Bros Cupcakes and Cafe. Jones Bros is famous here at Omaha for catering delicious breakfasts and lunches for business meetings.
If I own a business, I cater Jones Bros every day.
Sounds good to me, Olivia.
For breakfast, I cater French toast with warm syrup and croissant donuts. That'd be a good day at work.
Go with it, Olivia. Check out our website at jonesbroscupcakes.com for catering.
Jones Bros Cupcakes in Exarban Village.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and more. Join the show immediately after the game and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction on 101.9 The Keg and 1620 The Zone.
Duck Defense Midwest makes your home healthier and improves the life of your HVAC system. So improve the health of your home and everyone in it. Go to cleanairradio.com for a special duct cleaning offer for Zone listeners. That's cleanairradio.com.
We are well underway with the NFL season, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. It's that easy. Just sign up with promo code HAPPER. There's so many different options for you guys when you look at the FanDuel sportsbook. You can go inside the game. You can take the money line and the spread, or take the individual player props. We like some of the season-long ones that we've been talking to you about. Endless options over at the FanDuel Sportsbook, all in an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So sign up today with promo code HAPPER for your no-sweat first bet. That's promo code HAPPER, HAPPER. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Iowa, first online real money wager only. Free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Genesis Health Clubs is celebrating its 36th anniversary, and you're invited. Join for just 36 cents and get the rest of the year for free. This offer has been extended for a limited time. Hi, I'm Rodney Stephen, owner of Genesis Health Clubs, thanking you for the last 36 years. Without you, we wouldn't be here, and we're here for your results. We're here to help you feel better, look better, and have more energy, and be able to enjoy all life has to offer by improving your health. Celebrate Genesis Health Club's 36th anniversary by joining today for just 36 cents and get the rest of the year for free. Offer extended. That's 36 years of results, 36 years of better mood, concentration, and focus, 36 years of crushed goals, 36 years of mental and physical strength, 36 years of members achieving their absolute best, and now it's your turn. So get fit, have fun, and celebrate 36 years with us. Join Genesis Health Clubs for just 36 cents and the rest of the year for free. This offer has been extended for a limited time. Find your fitness home at genesishealthclubs.com.
Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard has something fun for all ages. New this year is Stefan's Country Drive. Antique cars where the kids are in the driver's seat. Plus, there's a new carousel. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard is also opening a whole new part of the farm, the cider mill, with more than 50 other attractions included with admission. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard is the place to be this fall. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard, Gretna, Nebraska. Now open through October 31st.
If you love food, love fun, love fall, you'll love Alice Pumpkin Patch best of all.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has been making your game day experience one to remember for 18 years with our award-winning char-buffed wings at $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. But now your game day just got bigger and better with Oscar's newly upgraded audio-video system. Cheer on your favorite teams this season in front of a 22-foot LED video wall, showing up to 8 games at once, and of course, 40 TVs and massive dual projectors. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
An American treasure, Kevin Harlan.
Iconic.
He also did the Giants Cowboy game when the cat was on the field.
Still my favorite.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think he might be a part of this. There's too many coincidences here.
Game might not be so good. Hey, Peter, you got anybody that can run out on the field?
I think Kevin Harlan
20
is part of the gig.
Here's the thing, like the only place you see it is the College World Series. I don't think we had anybody run on the field last year or this past College World Series, but it used to be one.
Yeah, you'd have like one a series.
And I always thought that the police and security guards were kind.
They tried to be.
Like they could have just blown up the person that was on the field because, you assume all risk.
Yes.
You play stupid games, you get stupid prizes.
Yes.
You come on to somebody else's workplace, you deserve what you're going to get, because there was the response by some yesterday of, well, that guy, like let's say he blew out his ACL or something happened or got injured.
Yeah.
Could he sue? Well, I'm sure he could, because somebody would take
Sure.
on that.
Yeah.
Let's flip over the back of your ticket and see what it says.
Yeah.
And realize that you're trespassing.
But
I mean,
honestly,
Bobby Wagner ain't no Mike Curtis, but he was close last night.
So it's funny that you say that about College World Series, because I do remember one. I think it was Rosenblatt still. So we're going back a little ways here, but it was, I think, like 2003-ish. I was sitting right behind home plate, which is why I remember this, because the guy actually made it all the way into the infield and was coming to circle around home plate and checks over his back shoulder to see where the guys are. And somebody comes from that little door right behind home plate. Yeah. This dude that looks like he very recently played middle linebacker for someone, and laid out the not streaker, because he wasn't naked, but laid out the runner. And like you could hear the air leaving that guy's body. And it was perhaps one of my favorite College World Series moments ever. It was incredible. But you're right. In general, they're pretty nice to him. But this dude had been on the field for like 30 seconds running, and the security guard behind home plate
had enough.
Had enough and said, "Hey, your show is over."
And some might say that
he hit him harder than Bobby Wagner did. I'm almost positive.
I mean, Bobby Wagner showed more aggression on that play than he did at any time during the course of the game. And then there was a sideline scuffle between Rams players. Bad night for the Rams all around.
Yeah, tough
all around for the Rams.
I'm glad.
I know you're as a Niner fan, you're crushed.
I'm very upset. I feel bad for all 7 Rams fans around. I'm glad I'm not hosting with John today.
Now they've expanded from 7 to maybe 14. They won the Super Bowl, so there are people that started.
It's
to
true.
follow
You've
the
got
Rams.
some bandwagon. I forgot.
And then they say, I go way back to the time that Eric Dickerson was running wild at the Big A, and at Jerome Bettis. I followed him to St. Louis, and I followed him back to L.A.
Well, and you have to forget about
Roman Gabriel.
You have to forget about the 3 or 4 Lions fans that weirdly root for Stafford in Los Angeles and pretend like they won the Super Bowl last year. There's a handful of those.
Did you know that Matthew Stafford went to high school with Clayton Kershaw?
I didn't. Oh my gosh. That's new. That's crazy.
The more you know.
Sam McEwen of the Omaha World Herald's coming up near the bottom of the hour. We'll have more sound from yesterday in Lincoln. Remember, it's a Friday night game.
People forget this.
Well, I'm a little bit surprised. Now, this may be either the logistics or, we're good. I thought there would be more high school games moved on Friday.
Sure.
So it's an early kick. It's 6 o'clock in New Jersey. I think they're expecting a pretty good crowd. There will be a lot of Nebraska fans there.
Okay.
Like the next 2 road games, there will be quite a few Nebraska fans. They made the Purdue game a night game. That usually is even though it's a good 12, 13-hour trip from here.
And the Big Ten, that's close.
But that's a popular destination because the availability of tickets is probably better in West Lafayette than most places.
Sure.
So you usually get a large following of Nebraska fans that will go to Purdue, and they will be there for that night game. But I think there will be a lot of people that are looking, hey, Friday, I got Saturday, Sunday in the city. I can make a whole weekend of it in New Jersey. I think there'll be a lot of people there. But I thought there would be more high schools that would shift off a Thursday night or move up their game. Maybe say, hey, let's play in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Because if you go back to, I think it was it 17? I think it was 17 when Nebraska played that Friday night game in Champaign. I recall that when that game came out and it was announced, there were more than a handful of high schools that moved their game off of Friday night to Thursday or moved their game up. And I don't see that this year. So maybe that's only dawning on me of the reaction to, we don't have to worry about people paying attention to the Nebraska game. If you're going to come to the high school game, you're going to come no matter what. But I thought we'd see more of a shift to Thursday night games.
Yeah, I mean, because you said the 17 game was in Champaign also, right? So they were both road games. Yeah. So that probably isn't a factor. My first thought was, well, maybe if it was a home game, you would have more shuffling because people actually, more people go to those and things like that. But, it might just be as simple as the difference between the vibe around the program in 2017 versus in 2022. I mean, we live in a very different time now.
we live in a college football world where UConn, for the first time since 2016, is going to be ranked in a game on FanDuel, and use the promo code ZONE to unlock a lot of cool things. They are a favorite, 3.5-point favorite over FIU.
Yeah.
First time since 2016 against a fellow FBS team that UConn is favored in a weird year where we're on the crazy train of college football in 2022. The crazy train where right now on October 4th, Nebraska and Wisconsin have vacancies. And going off of Saturday night, we do Big Red Overreaction. The name tells you everything.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's caught in the moment. And it was a great moment on Saturday night. There was a lot of joy. Nebraska needed to win a football game. And they showed you things about the ability to win a game that they have not continually shown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? All right. Indiana, regardless of who they were playing, Nebraska found a way to win a football game when things could have gone south. So the overreaction. And we got calls on that show, Robbie, about Mickey and why not right now just make him the head coach. I reiterate, Trev Alberts doesn't have to make a hire on October 4th.
Nope.
Just like Jim Leonard is about to encounter in Madison, Mickey Joseph is going through it at Nebraska, is this is your tryout. Okay, this is your job interview. Okay, ideal. I mean, all the trials and tribulations you're going to go through, what a great thing for a Mickey Joseph or a Jim Leonard and the current power chair to go, okay, this is how we'll assess them. We like them. They're an important part of our program. We'd love to keep them moving forward in whatever role.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get to see if they're built for the role that they're being elevated to. Probably, I sense more in Madison than in Lincoln.
Yeah.
But take the emotion out. The more that you see the result of Nebraska and the way that they're playing, and they got a long ways to go. I mean, they are still a lot of warts.
Yes.
Okay, but there are things that
look better
when you play with emotion, you play with physicality, and quite simply, you have a pulse of your team.
Yeah.
It is mind-boggling that a guy that has been here for less than a year has a better pulse of the team than we've seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, he was a wide receiver coach.
Yep. So probably didn't interact with the entire team as much as the former head coach should have.
He has an understanding of the guys that are in that locker room, what makes them tick, what they need to tick, what you have to adjust, and play to their strengths. Boy, how wild does that sound? That sounds like coaching 101. But here's what I want people to do.
Yeah.
because I heard this yesterday, and you've heard this as well. You have to take the emotion out of what's going on after a win over Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
It's a win. Now Nebraska has to do it again.
Yes.
Take the emotion out of it and don't say, well, they beat Indiana. That was cool. That was a great scene. And it was. I don't want to discount that. But take the emotion out and just let the whole thing play out instead of everything, every press conference, every game, whether it be Matt Campbell, Lance Leipold, Jim Leonard, Dave Aranda, Mickey Joseph, is not a referendum on if they should get a job or not.
Correct. And anybody who does take week by week results as a major factor in who they think should be hired should not be making those decisions. But I want to go back to what you were saying about this being a job interview, right? Because if you're an AD and you have the opportunity to watch a guy coach for half of a season and you don't take that opportunity before making a final decision, you're performing malpractice. I mean, you should be fired if you aren't, because listen, I think you're right. I think Jim Leonard has a much better shot at that job than Mickey Joseph does at this one. I think they want Jim Leonard to be the guy. I really do. I think part of the reason they made the move when they did was to get Jim Leonard and not have him go somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Because he was going to be a name that was out there, right? But even with that being said, where Wisconsin probably wants him to be the guy and probably made this move with him being the guy in mind, you'd be outside your mind to not use the runway you're given as a tryout. Because it is a free preview. You want to use that free preview to make sure you like the service, right? When Disney Plus or whoever's like, hey, here's a free week, you take it. You're not like, no, I'd like to pay you early. That's not a thing people do because it's stupid. If you have the opportunity to try it out before you buy, that's something generally people like to take the car for a test drive before they make that purchase. Right? That's all that's happening here. Yes, we like the look of the Mickey Joseph car, right? We want to test it out for a couple more months here to see what it's like to own that car, to see what it's like to have it and drive it every day. Because, maybe there's still things like, there's not quite enough cup holders or whatever, using the car analogy a little too long here. But even in a situation where you're in Wisconsin and you think that's your guy, which is not the case at Nebraska, by the way. I think most people do not think Mickey Joseph will end up being the head coach. You absolutely are neglectful if you try and make a decision on October 4th, rather than just like seeing how it plays out. Because there's absolutely no harm in saying like, oh yeah, he actually went, 5-3. And that's pretty good. Maybe we take that into account here. Or versus, he went 2-6. We really like Mickey Joseph. We want the next guy to keep Mickey Joseph. But, I don't know that he's ready for that job. What we're seeing now is just, like you said, it's coaching 101. And part of the reason it seems so revolutionary is because we've been dealing with the rudimentary version of coaching for the last 4.5 years. There's like a Stockholm syndrome thing here almost, where we're so conditioned to what bad coaching looks like that even functional coaching seems revolutionary. It's like when you're in a really bad relationship, you get out of it, and then someone shows you like basic human kindness, and you're like, oh, this is the best. It's like, nope, this is the baseline. Let's start there and see what else we can do.
There's the other part of Mickey in that role that don't discount. Would anybody argue that Trey Palmer has not gotten better since the season has started? Like, we knew what we were getting from LSU, but remember, he was wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
And you wondered, okay, there were a lot of good players on the field when he was out there. What is he like when he's wide receiver 1? Trey Palmer's better than he was at LSU.
Oh, yeah.
He's
He's
position
better than he was in week 1, right?
But through all of this, because we've seen this sometimes with interim hires. Now, Wisconsin and Nebraska are unique because the two people that are in the interim role are people that either you want to be your next head coach or you definitely want to continue to be in your program.
100%.
Where it's not like it's the end of the year and you make a change, and for the month of November, the interim coach gets hot and there's emotion involved and players knock on your door and say, man, that's got to be the guy. That's got to be the guy. That's got to be the guy. And you ride the wave of emotion and say, yes, it is. Here, Bill Stewart, you're now the head coach at West Virginia. And we know how that ends.
It's worked out, I think, one time ever.
Yeah, I don't know that what has happened at Nebraska and Wisconsin, at Arizona State and Colorado, those two in place as interims are not going to be, they're not in the running to be the head coach. But does it set, if you have somebody on your staff that you want to keep and you're wondering what's going to happen in the offseason, who's going to be knocking on the door, who's going to be calling them on the phone, what their agent is going to be doing, if they got an agent. And we don't like how the small things have led to bigger things with our current head coach, and we've got the resources to make a change. Does this set a precedent moving forward if you're in the same situation that Nebraska and Wisconsin are in, with somebody on your staff you like, you want to retain, and you wonder, could they be the head coach? If it's gone way too far down the road with your current head coach that you've got to make a change, regardless of what it does to your season.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about both of these scenarios is I think Mickey Joseph, listen, every program in the country outside of like maybe Ohio State and Alabama, whose wide receivers are also very good, probably would take Mickey Joseph as their wide receivers coach, right? I mean, that's a fair thing to say. So if you're coming to Nebraska as the new head coach, you're probably not getting a better hire than Mickey Joseph as your wide receivers coach, who's also a great recruiter and also has a great pulse for the football team, right? He also probably would prefer to stay here, it seems like, versus taking other calls. So that gives you a built-in advantage in keeping a guy like that, where retaining him might be more difficult under other circumstances. The thing that I was going to say about Wisconsin was this might be one of the first times I can remember, at least, where a head coach was fired in season with seeming the intention of the interim coach to be the permanent guy. I don't know that we've ever seen that before, where part of the reason the head coach was fired was because you wanted the interim head coach, not we'll maybe see and feel this out, whatever. I think a real part of the Paul Chryst firing was, hey, we want Jim Leonhard to be our next head coach. And can you recall anything? No. I don't think that's ever happened before, which is kind of a bizarre situation.
But they're afraid they're going to lose him too. So it's like almost now or never.
Right. But there's been hot assistants before, right? Like Jimbo was at LSU, got tired of waiting and moved on, right? To be the head coach. If they hadn't forced out Bobby Bowden, he probably would have moved on from Florida State to be the head coach somewhere else. You don't generally have these situations where you're like, hey, we're going to fire this head coach in season because we want an assistant to be our head coach. I don't ever remember that happening.
No.
And I don't know that, I don't think this is a trend we're going to see, because this is a pretty unique situation with the staff that Wisconsin has. But that whole situation is so strange to me. Everything about it just doesn't totally make sense. Like there's about a million different things and variables. We're like, okay, this part of it kind of makes sense, but okay, why did Chris then take $9 million less? And well, this part of it kind of makes sense, but Chris actually wasn't struggling that much. There's so many different things there that don't totally add up in Wisconsin that I'm really curious to see if there's any more information.
By the way, I applaud Wisconsin for doing what they did.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yep. Yeah. I think if you're in the fan base, that's a moment where you go, yep, things just got real. We're in it to win it. All right, this is a new era of Wisconsin football. Yeah, it's nice winning 9 games and beating up on Nebraska and Iowa and Minnesota.
Yeah.
But those days are over because the Big Ten is changing.
8 games isn't good enough anymore.
I applaud Wisconsin because for the longest time at both Iowa and Iowa was thinking, man, they did Madison. We always say they're just fan base is happy to win 7, 8, 9 games. We say that from our vantage point over here on this side of the river. And then we get, Kyle that listens to us is a diehard Wisconsin fan. Oh, no. I don't want to just beat up on the top, my rivals in the Big Ten. I want to start beating Ohio State. And Wisconsin, to me, they said things are changing in the Big Ten, and we're going to change with it.
Yeah.
Because this is what we feel. We feel like right now we have a guy that is 15-10 in his last 25, 9-8 in his last 17. We at one time had a moment in 2018, preseason top 5, finished the year unranked. It's a trend that's going the wrong way. And I'm sure there's other things along the way, small things that led up to Ohio State, Illinois back-to-back that you feel like you've got to make a change in a place that doesn't make changes like that.
Any part of this remind you at all of, like, I get there was other things going on here, but post-Pelini, Nebraska?
More Solich.
Okay.
Because
so further back.
What pops into my mind right away is we will not gravitate
toward mediocrity.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Let's get John before the break. Good morning, John. Welcome to the 1620 The Zone Morning Show.
Hey, good morning, guys. Just catching some of the talk about Nebraska's head coaching, where we're going to go with this. I think Mickey Joseph is clearly connected with Trev in a way. I don't know if they played in Lincoln at the same time. I know they were close to the same time.
Yes.
But there's a mutual respect and admiration there, and it's real. And the players see it. Mickey Joseph loves the kids. The kids love him. It's pretty apparent. One thing that I don't know that I've heard a lot of chat about is being that he's an African-American coach. We certainly hear a lot about that. African-American coaches not getting the opportunities. I think that's a factor, and I think that it will allow Nebraska to get immediate traction with African-American players. I think parents of these kids will look at Mickey Joseph as an African-American coach, and I think he's going to get us into a lot of living rooms that Nebraska would have no chance with the former coach. So I just want to see what you guys had to say about that.
John, thanks for the call. And this started down the street from here, the diversification of an athletic department. Trev hired Carrie Banks in the middle of COVID, by the way, women's basketball coach.
Yep.
First black women's basketball coach at Nebraska or at Omaha. And you look at his makeup of changes he's made in the athletic department. Now, there is more diversity. There is no doubt that Mickey is here because of Trev.
Yeah.
Okay. And they have a bond, and they also have the same mindset.
Yeah.
And they're in it for the brand. Okay. To fix the brand, to make the brand what they grew up with when they played in. But it's, I think also when you have that kind of relationship and you're in the position where you elevated a guy that you felt strongly in, was the only guy on that staff that could punch the right buttons to take guys who are wandering in the desert and get them to go in the right direction with everything that's swirling around the program. You have full faith in that person, which Trev does. But I think you also have a relationship, and Mickey has said this, is, would that be the ultimate thing to have Mickey Joseph come back to his alma mater and be elevated from interim to head coach? No doubt. But you also have an understanding that Mickey understands Trev's position.
Yeah.
That Trev has to give, he's going to give this all the attention that it deserves, because Nebraska football, whether it be Mickey Joseph, Trev Alberts, Gary Sharp, deserves the best person in that role to bring this program back to where it needs to be. So you have that understanding where it's not like, okay, he's going to leave me out to dry and I'm going to have to carry these guys through. No, they have a full understanding. So the relationship, yes, has something to do with it, but he doesn't have to hire a football coach on October 4th. There's still a lot of time to play. I mean, you got to go, what's the conversation on Friday night if Nebraska goes to New Jersey and it doesn't go well? And everything we saw on Saturday night, improvement by the defense, those things
gets washed away.
We're going to do this again. This is nonsense.
We're going to do this every week.
That's why it's an 8-game thing, to let the whole thing play out and take the emotion out of it.
Free trial. See what shows they have that you like. Just work on your streaming service. You don't have to pay for it yet. Just see what you like. I will say, I do think it's interesting that I think the relationship between Mickey Joseph and Trev Alberts kind of mirrors the situation between Mickey Joseph and the players, in which you can make difficult decisions because of the relationship there, right? It's not an easy decision for your head coach to sit down your starting quarterback for a drive in a not optimal situation because you're not in love with the way he's playing at that very moment. But we heard Casey Thompson talk about this. We heard Mickey Joseph talk about this, where they say, hey, he didn't like it. I told him I didn't like it either. I need better from you. That's a conversation you can have when you have a good relationship with someone. I think it's very similar, the relationship between Trev and Mickey, where, Mickey wants to be the head coach. Of course he does. His alma mater, he loves it here. Obviously, he's got a passion for the kids and for the university and everything. So does Trev. They're coming from it from the same place, and they can have that conversation where Trev says to Mickey, like, you're going to get a shot this season to see what you have here. But at the end of the day, even if you're not the head coach, we would really love you to be part of this university. And Mickey can understand that and still make the decision that's best for him and best for the university because of that existing relationship there. That's not a conversation you can have if you don't have trust with someone.
That's the key word, is trust.
Yeah. On both sides of it.
Yeah, you have to. That's one of the things where in 3 weeks as an interim head coach that stands out to me has come the longest way is developing trust between the guy that is in front of the room and people that are in the room. I mean, once you start there, then some of these other things that we're starting to see fall into place. And you can make changes on how you go about your everyday business from a defensive coordinator to an offensive coordinator. And people are like, okay, you have my best interest at heart. You're putting me in the best position to succeed.
I might disagree with this decision, but I believe you're doing what you think is best for everyone.
All right. Sam McEwen, the World Herald, is coming up next. A little bit later, Brian Christopherson will join us. Andy Kendi as well. Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One, Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. There's Ravi. I'm Gary. Jimmy as well. Sam Max coming next.
Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Now, I could go back and maybe kick some ass in some races. What's the best marathon time in 1922?
They didn't have marathons back then because they put people in insane asylum.
Oh, man, the fastest marathon runner in 22 is faster than me by, still a lot. Yeah. What kind of shoes were they running on?
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast, presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch, from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Mostly cloudy, but staying warm on Tuesday. South breeze around 10 to 15 miles per hour. Any daytime showers will stay west of the metro. A better chance for spotty showers in the evening into Tuesday night. Highs around 81. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
The Zone Hotline is powered by Los Hills Harley Davidson, your home in the hills. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burden, AC, Heating, Plumbing, and More, time-saving traffic center. We have one accident to report near 60th and Blondo, so please be cautious if you are in that area. Then along L Street, be prepared for some significant slowdown from 96th to 83rd. And on Industrial Road, it looks like you can expect a bit of a delay near 149th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Come on, when was the last time you had your Fernando's fix? It doesn't get any better than lunch, dinner, carry-out, even catering from Fernando's. Get your Fernando's fix. 114th and Dodge, 75th and Pacific, and FernandosOmaha.com.
Your vehicle is important. It gets you where you need to go, but it does much more than that. I'm Darcy with Dingman's Collision Center, and at Dingman's, we know your vehicle is an investment and that safety is your priority. To make sure your vehicle is as safe as it was prior to an accident, bring it to Dingman's for proper, safe, and certified repairs. We protect you and your investment. We've been voted Best of Omaha for the past 17 years. At Dingman's, we'd rather be the best than apologize for anything less. Find us at dingmans.com.
Many people go back to the dealership out of habit, or because they think the dealer is the only one who knows how to fix their car. At Omaha Car Care, we offer a better option. We have ASE certified technicians, the technology to service any vehicle, and free loaner cars. The dealer will sell you a package of services. We'll provide the service you want for your car as your trusted partner. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
Suicide can be prevented by knowing the warning signs, and most importantly, knowing what to do if you recognize those signs in yourself, a loved one, or even a stranger. There are simple ways you can be there for someone, so they can be here for more tomorrows. Visit moretomorrowsne.org to learn the signs, how to approach the conversation, and where to get help. Or call 988 for help now. That's moretomorrowsne.org.
From sports medicine to spine, bone, and joint problems, Nebraska Medicine is your home for the region's most comprehensive orthopedic care. Our specialists have the unmatched expertise to diagnose and treat common and complex problems, with surgery being a last resort. With multiple locations, our leading care is miles ahead, yet close to home. For orthopedic advances, this is where you begin. Visit nebraskamed.com/ortho.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
Need a pipe, vaporizer, candles, Kratom, Delta products, or e-juice in disposables or bottles? Come to the Source 42 Degrees and save up to 50% with multiple locations. What are you waiting for? 42 Degrees. Buy your mom's house.
Imagine it's a scorcher and your home's AC just quit. Sometimes it's beyond repair and needs to be replaced. At 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, our comfort specialists take the frustration out of the equation. Modern AC systems are more energy efficient, which is good news for your energy bill. Call 402-788-1234 or visit mccarthys1hour.com.
Always on time, or you don't pay time. Always on time, or you don't pay time.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
The 2022-23 hockey season is finally here. Omaha Hockey welcomes Niagara University to Baxter Arena this Friday and Saturday. Tickets are still available. Get yours now at omabs.com/tix or call the Baxter Arena box office at 402-554-MABS.
Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is and has always been locally owned and operated. Now, with 160 employee owners, chances are one of us lives in your neighborhood. We take pride in taking care of you, our customers, and keeping you comfortable all year round. And as always, our technicians don't have sales quotas. When other companies send salespeople, Standard sends qualified technicians. It's just part of.
Carrier, turn to the experts. 1620 The Zone.
It's a great line. USA Today has the dream hire this morning as Matt Rule for Nebraska.
Ugh.
Yep, Matt Rule.
No, thank you.
Who would not be bringing Baker Mayfield with him.
Well, that's probably a plus.
Matt Rule, better college coach than pro coach, but USA Today says that's the dream hire for Nebraska.
No, thank you. Hard pass.
All right. Let's welcome in Sam McHugh into the Omaha World Herald. A couple of days later, does the Wisconsin move with Paul Chryst surprise you still?
Well, a little bit, yeah, I guess. I mean, I think there's things obviously I don't know. So hopefully those things are sussed out in subsequent reporting. I wasn't really around the program when Solich was fired, so I don't remember all the questions that were asked. But I thought at the time that Frank Solich was fired, it was pretty evident that Steve Peterson was acting, kind of on his own, kind of with the blessing of the chancellor. Things were a little different back then, but a lot of that was on Steve. Mm-hmm. And so Steve Peterson was not a good AD and so on and so forth. And I'm not trying to credit him when I say this, but he made it pretty evident that it was about him. And if there's something that one can say about, somebody firing somebody and then they kind of make it all about them, they didn't try to make it about somebody else. What happened with Wisconsin on Sunday was strange because the athletic director really didn't make it about himself. He kind of deflected even criticizing the program in that moment. And I think really what they wanted to do was clear the deck so that the guy that's now the interim becomes the head coach, and they didn't want to lose him. Bottom line is they didn't want to lose him somewhere else, and something about the lower buyout indicates to me that Paul Chryst was, I don't know. Those are things we'll find out. How much lower is the buyout? If it's half, then Paul Chryst was ready to walk away for a while. That's what I think. We'll just have to see what the buyout is and whether or not Jim Leonhard gets the job relatively quickly, which I think he might.
Sam, you mentioned Jim Leonhard and how it seems as though they have the guy that they want in-house already. But let's take that aside for a second. The question everybody's been asking is, what's the better job between Nebraska and Wisconsin? Because there does seem to be quite a bit of overlap and similarities in the program. Just your gut when you look at the two institutions, what are some of the things you consider when answering that question?
Well, one of the things I consider is, how many players do you have in the state who could matriculate to your school? At Wisconsin, there's probably more prospects in the state of Wisconsin, and Wisconsin is the only show in town collegiately up there. It's not like Iowa. It's not like, it's kind of like Illinois, but it's not like Illinois. It's not like Indiana. Wisconsin is kind of the team up there, just like Minnesota is kind of the team in Minnesota. And so there's probably a slight advantage there. I think there's expectation levels. I think the Fish Bowl in Wisconsin isn't quite as intense as the Fish Bowl in Nebraska. I would have concerns about the circumstances under which the job came open. The fact that, the hook was really quick. Mm-hmm. But again, I think that this is a different deal because they're basically trying to give this guy the job. I mean, it's pretty clear to me that he was the reason why they were winning games the last several years. The offense, and I like the offensive system, but it needs an overhaul. And frankly, the quarterback needs to be put in an offense that suits him. And I think he would be better suited in a sit in the shotgun and throw it 45 times kind of offense. I think this handing it off and then these long 7-step drops, that's really not what Graham Mertz is best suited for, and they just didn't make the switch. So I think what you may see from Wisconsin on the way out here over the next however many weeks is an offense that kind of operates a little bit more from the shotgun, runs the ball still, but is letting Mertz kind of stand and survey the field versus the half-field reads that he was doing under Chryst. So, I think Nebraska's a good job in a number of ways if you want to be in this place and if you have a ton of ambition and you're really ready to work 90 hours a week to turn it around. Because I think if you turn it around at Nebraska, the feeling is pretty darn sweet. It's sweeter than it would be at Wisconsin.
You remember all the discussion, and Graham Mertz is a central figure in the last few years, is when he came out of Kansas City, and Wisconsin has played, outside of Russell Wilson, Wisconsin has made the Big Ten championship game with quarterbacks that you would go, really? Kurt Phillips started a Big Ten championship game, but they got Graham Mertz. You remember that, Sam? They got Graham Mertz out of Kansas City, and they're like, oh boy, here's Paul Chryst is finally has broke through. He's got this big time quarterback. And Graham Mertz has just been meh for the majority of his career.
Yes, it's absolutely true. And I think, again, some of it is the offense they're running is probably not as quarterback friendly as some. And I understand, like, there are differences between Mark Whipple's offense and Paul Chryst's offense. It's just it. And Mark's offense is pretty quarterback friendly. Mm-hmm. I think you kind of saw what it is on Saturday night. Now they do. The quarterback takes some sacks, but he's back there in the shotgun and he's looking around. And the Mertz, the Paul Chryst offense is just a lot of shifts and motions. And when you throw the ball, you probably fake the handoff twice. And it's just a lot of things that I think a lot of clutter that I think Mertz doesn't handle very well. And but his development hasn't been there. That's probably one of the indictments. The transfer portal, Wisconsin's not really embracing the transfer portal. They haven't taken a lot of transfers in. They've lost some players. The NIL operation up there isn't as developed. As hard as this is to say, and I get it, but it's baffling and frustrating why Nebraska hasn't been as good as people think it could be. But there's many ways in which Nebraska has the right idea about how to move forward. It's just a question of executing those things. I think Wisconsin was behind the curve in a number of ways, and I don't know if Paul Chris would get again on the right side of the curve.
Sam McCune of the World Herald joining us. What is portable that you saw Saturday night, something new off of a bye week that is portable on a short week flying halfway across the country?
The way they played on defense, the way they played, not the scheme, but the way. I think that's portable. I think you can play that hard all the time. And I'm just talking shoes. They were getting into their drops fast.
Yep.
They just played fast and hard. And I'm not trying to question their effort over the first month, but there was just a different level of fire to the way they were covering, especially the way they were covering and getting in drop zones. I mean, Jamari Butler dropped into that zone, almost picked off a pass, but, just little stuff, that's portable. And then, I think you can always put a quarterback in the shotgun and let him throw it wherever you want, and I do think there's an appeal to that, especially to the receivers. And so, you can take Casey and say, hey, you throw the ball 40 times and we're going to throw it deep 10 times and he'll do it, so long as he's standing. Like he said yesterday, if he doesn't have a season-ending injury, he's going to keep going back out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think those two things are portable, the effort. And I think the way that even when the chips are down, they can go get a 70-yard touchdown. They have the players that are capable of doing it.
Sam, after the Indiana game, we kind of saw our first wave of let's just give Mickey the job. If you're
Right.
Trev, what are you looking for? I assume results matter to a certain degree, but what are you looking for from Mickey over the next couple of months that you think could actually sway his decision one way or another?
Well, I mean, bottom line wins. Obviously, you need to put W's in, out there, and winning this weekend, winning the weekend after that, finding a way to win those two games, I think is enormously important. And short of that, maybe you can kind of make some things work. But the players are going to play hard for him. I don't think there's much question of that. I do think he's going to continue to recruit and try to get some players on board. I think you watch the game management, right? So you watch to see how he manages an entire game. You give him credit where it's due. The special teams play, you put that on the head coach's ledger a little bit and say, good job for Mickey for talking about that all week and affecting an outcome and getting it there. You watch to see how they manage the clock. Indiana's the worst team they're going to play, so they should beat Indiana if he's going to be the next head coach, and they probably should beat Rutgers too if he's going to be the next head coach. And so you kind of watch for game management stuff. They didn't manage the end of the first half well at all. I do put that on him. I think he's got to go over to the offensive coordinator and say, it's 2nd and 18, run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to halftime and let's have a 7-point lead versus trying to score and chase points. We get the ball to start the second half. Let's go ahead and go into halftime with the lead. But he's taken all those things on himself. He's doing that. It's just you're just going to have to watch it and see how it goes from here. And some of that's going to be managing Whipple, managing the clock, and even in that 6-minute drive, which looked great, they still were snapping the ball with 15 seconds left on the play clock, and I have no idea why. There's no reason.
But you know what? When you got to the fourth quarter, it was different. I mean, that was completely. They were snapping the ball with 7 to about 10 seconds left on the play clock in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they got better as that quarter went on. I think there's just And again, you have to kind of ride or die with the way Whipple runs things. It's a little bit like Mike Marks. I mean, you're looking for deep throws. The one thing that's not true is that Whipple does not have a running back passing game the way that Marks did. No. But there's not a ton of protection. They're putting 4 guys out in the routes a lot of times, at least, and sometimes 5. And Casey's not, he's not a super athlete. He's okay. So there's all these little components and little qualities that I think they've got to try to find a way to work through. But some of that's managing Whipple, and then I think Bush will get the team to play hard. Whether or not they make a lot of plays on defense, I mean, they're still limited in the players they have. So, but Bush was the right choice, and he's doing a good job of getting them to max out.
So let's stick with the offense, because this could be an offense that produces 1,000-yard rusher. Grant is 400 away. It could also produce a wide receiver that sets the all-time single-season reception mark in Trey Palmer. But back to Anthony Grant, and you're right about no running back passing game, because Grant, I think, has 3 receptions this year. But moving forward isn't the best operation for Nebraska, is Anthony Grant's got to tote the ball 25 or more a game. If Nebraska wants to be like Wisconsin, you have a running back, 25-plus carries a game, that sounds reasonable, right?
It does, and I think he'll stay healthy. And I guess you cross your fingers there, but he's a good back for 25 carries a game. Now they took him out once. Brian Applewhite walked like 10 yards on the field and like motioned for Grant to come out. They put Irvin in because Grant was bouncing too many of the runs to the outside. But yeah, absolutely, I think he's a very, very good player, great athlete. Certainly runs very hard. Very tough player. Again, you don't, in all the stuff that's going on, you don't want to lose the fact that he's really the best back they've had since Amir, and he's done a really nice job. I mean, he puts his head down. He's not a showboat. In that way, he's like Amir too. Like, he just puts his head down and he just works hard, and and that's pretty notable and impressive in the way that he goes about his game. So 25 carries a game for him, absolutely.
Sam, you mentioned with Mickey Joseph that 2nd and 18 play, which I believe in his press conference he addressed specifically and said, yeah, we should have ran that ball and gone in the half up 7. And I think that kind of candidness is part of what people like so much about Mickey Joseph. But my question for you is, how much of that is unique to Mickey Joseph and what he does and who he is, versus how much of that is just kind of an indictment on what we weren't getting from the previous coach?
Well, I mean, Scott could be honest in unexpected ways. I'm not sure he always knew what was going to be coming out of his mouth. But, I mean, there were times when Scott would say things and he'd be like, huh. However, what I think you mean is that Mickey takes things, on his plate and says, that's on me and I've got to get it better. And I appreciate that. I think that is something that Frost struggled there to understand. Always, he did take the onside kick on himself, but he didn't always. He struggled there at times. I think Joseph is still in an interim head coach mode, though. Like there'll come a point where the broader vision of if he were to become the head coach, he would have to talk more about the broad vision of how you're going to get where you want to go, and that will take some time. And his sideline approach is a little different from Frost. It's different from Mike Riley. It's closer to Bose, and not in the sense that he's ripping the officials or calling people names, but there's a certain level of loose, like, emotional freedom on that sideline. You saw some arguments during the game. Whipple and Joseph, Whipple and Thompson. Everybody kind of let loose a little bit, and so I think that would be part of his system. He'd have to kind of unpack how he wants to run the program and things like that. So I think we're still ways away from that, because we need to see if they can win more than one game. And going into the fourth quarter of that game, it was really up in the air whether they were going to win it. So we'll see how they do against Rutgers. Rutgers will probably play it close, and then we'll see how they do against Purdue. Purdue's, in my opinion, a better team than Nebraska, and I thought that before the season too. So to beat Purdue would be a bigger deal than beating Indiana and Rutgers, and we'll see what happens.
Yep. Sam, we appreciate it. Safe travels out to the East Coast.
All right, take care.
So Sam McEwen from the World Herald. Did you do any lip reading on the Mark Whipple, Casey Thompson interaction?
I didn't do the lip read deep dive. Did you take away any nuggets from that?
Well, what I took away from it is the relationship between the quarterback and his OC is stronger than it's been in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have that, I think two of the most important relationships in an entire football program are the head coach to his strength and conditioning coach and the quarterback to his offensive coordinator. And it just happens that the offensive coordinator is also the quarterback coach, they have a good relationship.
Yeah.
That you can say that and also get a reaction and you don't all of a sudden be butthurt. Okay, you move on to the next play, you move on to the next series, and you understand, maybe not in the moment, why you're making a change, but you have enough cachet built up between each other that, okay, this is what we're doing. And I'm not, see, I
It's
hated
that trust we
the
talked
thing,
about.
I hated the thing where people said, Casey got benched. Well, no. Okay, benched is he's on the bench
You're
and
not
he's not
going
playing for
back.
multiple series.
Yes, yeah. Benched is we're giving someone else a chance to get the job done. What happened with Casey Thompson, as Mickey Joseph said pretty clearly, was sometimes you have to take a guy, sit him back for a second, and let him, A, have a conversation with him, and B, just let him get a minute and see things from the sideline. It's the same thing. You don't see it as much in football, at least with quarterbacks. You do at other positions. But it's very similar with like basketball, right?
Absolutely. Great point.
If you pull a point guard out of a game after a bad turnover, the point guard did not get benched. It's not like he's no longer your starting point guard. You need to talk to him for a second, let him slow down, let him process things, let him see the game for a minute and a half, and then you put him right back in there. You didn't bench your starting point guard. You just pulled him out for a second. The same thing with Casey Thompson there. Casey Thompson didn't get benched. Casey Thompson got pulled for a minute to have a conversation with the coaching staff. That's about all that happened. But you're right. That cachet, it's that trust we talked about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't like it in the moment, if you're the player, you trust that the coaching staff has your best interest at heart and the team's best interest at heart. And it's important that it's both, right? Because if it's just one or the other, if you only think that they have your best interest at heart, then the rest of the team's not on board. And if you only think they have the team's best interest at heart, then maybe you're not all the way bought in. If you have both of those things, you have the relationship that we've seen there with Mickey Joseph and Casey Thompson and Mark Whipple, where you can pull him for a series and say, hey, you need to do a little better, even though you are 6 for 7 right now. You're missing a couple things. You're holding on to the ball for a second too long. You missed Trey Palmer on that deep post that would have been a touchdown. And you can then put him back in the game, and it's not a big deal. We were led to believe by the previous coach that if you pull a quarterback out of the game, that he'll still remember it 25 years later and say he's the most hated man in the state, right? That's not what has to happen. You can just be like, hey, we just need to talk for a minute, and then you put him right back out there. It's okay.
My biggest thing with the pulling of or setting Casey Thompson on the sidelines is the play calling when Purdue comes in.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's more of where I'm like, whoa.
Well, especially situation on the goal line there. If you're at the 25, you get a touchback or something like that. Yeah, maybe you want to see if Purdy will make that read, if he'll let go of that ball in a way that Casey Thompson won't. If you're backed up on your own goal line, maybe that's not the perfect spot to do it, but I will give them credit that they're practicing what they preach. They're preaching, hey, anybody that doesn't do their job is going to get pulled real quick.
The only thing and I agree with you, and we haven't seen a lot of that of late, but sometimes overreacting to try and fix mistakes of the previous head coach in the 2 games that we have seen.
Sure.
That's what I worry about. Now that's showing a sign of a growth of a person that's now in that role.
That hasn't been a head coach before.
Not to overreact. Hey, we haven't done that before, so we got to do it.
Yes. There's a degree of, hey, we're doing things differently because we believe this is the right way to do it. And we're doing things differently because it's different. Not different isn't always the correct move. I think in a lot of cases, especially coming from Scott Frost to Mickey Joseph, different is the right move. But there is kind of a fine line there, especially with a first-time head coach, where it's like, hey, just because the previous staff didn't do it doesn't mean we should.
That's Ravi. Jimmy is here as well. I'm Gary. It's 1620 The Zone mornings. We're back with more after this.
Hey friends, Kent Pavelka here, back with John Higgins and the Rooferees at the Weather Guard showroom. Why would it be advisable for me to have you do my roof versus somebody else?
Well, integrity of myself and our employees, longevity, what we do here in the community, that has to go a long way, and I believe it does. We do what we say we're going to do, and if there is a problem, we're going to come back and fix it.
So make the right call, fans. When it comes time to replace your roof, your gutters, and siding, there's only one call to make. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620, The Zone.
Hi, guys. It's Andrew with Brookside Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Brookside Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 402-671-7777. That's 402-671-7777. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Brookside Medical Clinic now. 402-671-7777.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1, what's your why? More epic energy, better sleep, blow off steam? Step 2, join Planet Fitness for $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime, and get moving. Go cardio crazy in our clean and spacious clubs, or get down with some dumbbells and strength equipment. Step 3, bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, October 14th. It's glow time. See Club for details.
There are actually two kinds of cigars. The first is the one you smoke with beloved family and friends. The second, the one you enjoy with friends you've just met. And you'll find both at Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge. At Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, there's a well-stocked humidor with some of the best bands from around the world, and a bar with your favorite cocktails and other drinkables. So what do you say? Which cigar will you be enjoying tonight? Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off I-680 and 48th Street next to Cubby's.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One, Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
Duck Defense Midwest makes your home healthier and improves the life of your HVAC system. So improve the health of your home and everyone in it. Go to cleanairradio.com for a special duct cleaning offer for Zone listeners. That's cleanairradio.com.
There's nothing quite like listening to the Kansas City Royals. High ball to deep left. To the wall. Leap. On 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone.
All right, wrapping up this hour, Brian Christopherson, Andy Kennedy still to come. With all the said about Anthony Grant, and I believe 25 plus totes a game is very reasonable.
Yeah, I think so.
Is he still not the best running back on the roster?
Ooh.
That guy's out for the year.
Oh.
I think A.J. Allen's a better running back than Anthony
You think
Grant.
so?
Will be. I should say will be.
I would say in the moment, like
Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
maybe not, but long term.
Anthony Grant also gives you something Nebraska hasn't had consistently, is a fourth quarter type running back that's going to fight for extra yards to keep you on the field.
Yeah, he's your 4-minute drill running back, right? Yeah, that's a guy they have not had.
All right. There's Robbie, Jimmy, Gary. Mornings on the Zone.
Buy your next vehicle your way from anywhere with Woodhouse. Start your journey online at woodhouse.com. Easily shop all new and pre-owned inventory, explore payment options and apply for financing. Ready to purchase? Schedule your new vehicle for pickup from the dealership or have it delivered to your driveway. Need a little extra help in determining your perfect vehicle? Our knowledgeable and local dealerships can guide you to the vehicle that best matches your needs. Experience car buying your way with Woodhouse, a trusted auto partner since 1975.
Hey, we are into the football season, and my good friends at Tickets for Less, they're going to take care of you to have your game day covered, whether it be in Lincoln, Kansas City, or wherever. Go to ticketsforless.com right now. You can find the best selection of Husker tickets. Now, Nebraska's not home until the end of the month. When Illinois rolls in here, what could the Fighting Illini look like? You want to be in the stadium to see Brett Bielema in all orange come running out of the tunnel, right? And Tickets for Less is going to put you as close as you can possibly imagine to Brett Bielema. Go to ticketsforless.com. Find the selection. You got to look at the Chiefs selection as well. And you'll never, this is why I keep going back to ticketsforless.com. You never pay hefty per ticket service fees like you do on the other sites. Some places you might go and you say, okay, it's $120. And then you check out and all of a sudden it's $175. Not at ticketsforless.com. You never pay the per ticket service fees like you do on other sites, so you can save big money. So lock in your seats for the next big game. Head over to ticketsforless.com or call 402-398-1999 and they will take care of you with a fabulous customer care team. Your game day starts at ticketsforless.com.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burden AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have one accident to report near 60th and Blondo, so please be cautious if you are in that area. Then along L Street, be prepared for some significant slowdown from 96th to 83rd. And on Industrial Road, it looks like you can expect a bit of a delay near 149th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Methodist Health System, the meaning of care.
When envisioning what kind of future is possible, the challenges never stop. And neither do we. Methodist, the meaning of care.
At Dingman's Collision Center, you voted them first place in Best in Omaha for the past 17 years. So they want to say thank you for choosing the Dingman family and their incredible technicians to repair your vehicles. At Dingman's, they'd rather be the best than apologize for anything less.
Rossi Clothiers is celebrating over 30 years, and Friday, October 14th and Saturday, October 15th, Rossi Clothiers welcomes Schneiders of Salzburg to showcase their 2022 and 2023 men's and ladies design event with special pricing. Rossi Clothiers, known for the art of permanent fashion. Heritage menswear collections, made-to-measure sports coats, suits, coats, casual wear, shoes, and accessories. Celebrating 30 years of timeless elevated menswear, Rossi Clothiers. Great location, tucked right there in Rockbrook Village.
An estimated 80% of Americans aren't getting their recommended daily amount of physical activity. It's time to move and keep moving, America. And when you need help, physical therapists and physical therapist assistants are by your side. Be your own champion. Choose more movement. Choose better health. Choose physical therapy. Find out more information and a physical therapist at choosept.com/NE. Brought to you by the American Physical Therapy Association of Nebraska.
Email any of our shows anytime into the Equitable Bank inbox. At Equitable, we take banking personally. For me, John at 1620thezone.com. The Equitable Bank inbox from 1620 The Zone.
It happens every day, and homeowners are victims every time, unless they call us. Hi, this is Garen Armstrong with Shamrock Roofing. Recently, a local homeowner with an aging roof had two well-known roofing companies out. Neither found hail damage for an insurance claim, but both happily submitted bids for a new roof. Then the homeowner called Shamrock Roofing. We found significant hail damage and sat with the homeowner when he filed his claim. We were there again when the insurance adjuster came out. And when the insurance company tried to deny the claim, the homeowner appealed with his evidence from Shamrock. The insurance company then approved the full claim for a new roof. Shamrock Roofing helped the homeowner get his roof when the other roofing companies could not. That is exactly why we say call Shamrock Roofing first, especially if you're wondering about possible wind or hail damage. If you have it, we'll find it. One call does it all. Call Shamrock Roofing today or find us online at shamrockroofer.com.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
All right, welcome back in. Sharp and Benning. Damn.
So close.
God, I made it 2 hours and 9 minutes.
Impressive. You did pretty
God. Not that I'm upset about saying that, but I was like,
Oh, it's a game.
People are winning. Yeah, people are winning money. So I'll put $1 in the jar
in the pool.
This is whatever the hell this morning show is now called.
Welcome back to the radio, everybody.
Hey, welcome to 1620 The Zone. We play radio from 6 to 10, and then we have two shows that actually have names.
And
Jimmy,
they play radio too.
Jimmy, I don't want to tell you how to do your job here. Okay.
Don't say the F word. Got it.
Well, besides that, we got Mickey Joseph talking about the Wild West. There happens to be a Will Smith Wild Wild West song. I mean,
We could have gone to the 80s and played that Wild
just
West.
a little synergy here is all I'm looking for. A little cohesion between the audio sound and the bumps. That's all I'm saying. Just something to think about.
We had three options. We had Will Smith, we had a song in the late 80s, and then we had the TV show in, what was it, 70s or 60s?
Well, I mean, the answer there is always Will Smith. Let's be honest. Always. Always.
Could be another poll. Name the show and pick the Wild West.
I always remember Will Smith from a CD purchase. So one day,
was it Millennium?
No, it was one of his first ones.
Oh, one of the early ones.
Yes,
Okay.
because I
with DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Yes,
Okay.
I purchased a Will Smith CD and a Garth Brooks CD at the same time.
That might be the
very much crossover.
That might be the only time that those two CDs were purchased at the same time ever.
Probably. But I listened. So
You're a true crossover hit, Gary Sharp.
Like I listen to Sweet 98. I listen to Power.
Yeah.
I'm fighting the. You get to my age, you're supposed to be a classic rock person.
Not going keg on me.
No.
Okay.
And the nice people who work over there.
Yeah.
They got a better signal than we do. 1620 The Zone actually should be on FM.
That's why we hijack it every once in a while.
Like I would like Keg to just die. So then that the Zone could move over to an FM signal.
1019 The Zone.
Yeah, I mean, Sports Talk Radio is going to FM.
That's right.
Why can't we?
It's
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. So there's nice people over there on Keg. There's Crash. There's Mike Neville. There's a plethora of other people that I have no idea who they are.
Whose names you don't know.
But they do a hell of a job.
That'd be great if that station just and they're like, hey, you know what? Let's put the Zone over there. Let's put classic rock on 1620.
Listen, AM classic rock, just disrupt the system a little bit here.
Yeah, let's be unique.
Yeah.
But
then we'd have to change our tagline that it's
so-
always AM radio.
And we got to name the show first before we can switch to FM.
Hey, all we need is we got a big stick.
Listen to Sharp and Buddies every morning.
On that point, let me just, for people that are tuning in, again, I wasn't here yesterday. Robbie's in with me for the next couple of days. It will not be Gary and Friends. So we will have a co-host and we will have a morning show with two people doing it again. So it's not a revolving
With
chair over there.
theoretically a name.
Yes, and a brand new name. Because it would be difficult to keep with the name that we ended with on Friday.
It would be awkward to continue to call it Sharp and Benning.
Yes.
With special guest host, but permanent.
With special permanent guest host, not Damon Benning.
So that is down the road. We hope to have an announcement here sooner than like December 31st of 2022.
I look forward to the t-shirts.
Yes. Welcome back in, everybody. Coming up the next hour, Brian Christopherson, Andy Kendi will join us. I hope everybody has taken the anti-advice of a John Roseman column, Living with Children, that was in the World Herald yesterday, that says it was a whole, probably about 5-column diatribe about why you shouldn't high-five a child. I hope everybody yesterday and continues today, high-five every kid you see.
That's about the only interaction I have with children. I don't have my own. But anytime around my nieces and nephews or my friends
You
have
high-five
kids,
or dap?
both.
Because the high-five basically has gone away in this country. We don't high-five because there's the awkward white guy high-five that we usually miss. Or you
Gotta
get
look at the elbow.
air.
Gotta look at the elbow.
So now it's just easy to dap. But now dapping has become, are you in between the high-five, the handshake, or the dap?
Yeah.
Because it's always embarrassing.
You get an
when somebody
awkwardness.
goes dap
And you go high
hand-
five.
or you go handshake.
You get the awkward turkey.
Yeah. And then it's just like, it throws off the conversation
It
and you
does.
wonder about the makeup of the person that just screwed up a dap.
It's
But
true.
yeah, we don't have the high five.
It's true. It's
you know what? It doesn't even have like a national day anymore.
It's a dying art. It is. I think children are the last demographic for the high five, to be honest, because it's like, hey, My friends' kids are around. I don't really know how to interact with these tiny humans. Here's a high five, kid.
Guess what is usually a good way to start a conversation with.
And they get super excited to high five people. So I'm like, you know what? Here's a high five. I'm going to leave now because I didn't have children for a reason.
That escalated pretty quick. All off of a column by somebody who in the World Herald has some interesting
takes.
Are they really takes? Why you should not high five a kid. I think there's a lot of things you shouldn't do for a kid or to a kid.
Sure.
One of those is not high fiving.
High fiving did not make the list. Yeah, I think that one's okay.
Coming up, as I mentioned, Brian Christopherson will join us. Also, tomorrow we'll give away Vala's Pumpkin Patch tickets.
Nice.
Which was absolutely jammed this weekend.
Can't go on a weekend.
Well, here's the thing. Just coming up this weekend, because Nebraska plays Friday, there's going to be a lot of weddings.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of people at the wineries.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of people at the pumpkin patches.
Yep. Saturday's a busy day.
Yeah. So prepare yourself if you are anywhere near those.
So this is one of my favorite things about having weekdays free, like weekday afternoons free, is you can go do some of these things when like the kids are in school, all the parents are at work or whatever. You have a nice little Vala's day without having to deal with the Saturday crowd, because that's not something I'm interested at all.
Wednesday afternoon at 1:00. Wonderful.
See? And they've got alcohol there now, I think, right?
Even better.
They've got to for the parents.
I mean, I'm shocked it took them this long to get that, because for the number of distressed parents I've seen out there, alcohol seems like a must.
It does. We'd been discussing the Wisconsin job, and there's a lot of debate on which job is better. Recent, Wisconsin. Potential, Nebraska.
Yes.
But I think there's also both schools which are entering the coaching search with more money down the road because of the TV deal. Are they looking at this when you look at who's going to be your next head coach? Whether it be, hey, Jim Leonhard works out and it's just a smooth transition.
Sure.
Wisconsin guy, has been here, has been one of the elite defensive coordinators in all of college football. He just slides into that role. And then whatever happens in Lincoln is you are making decisions about what the future of the Big Ten is going to look like. When you bring in USC, UCLA, and maybe more teams.
Probably more teams,
So you're not
right?
making it right now going, okay, this is a move we make for 23. You're making this move for 24, 25, 26 on what the conference is going to look like. That's why I applaud Wisconsin.
Well,
and I wonder what Iowa fan feels like.
Sure.
When they look at Wisconsin pulling the trigger. You have whatever went on behind the scenes and these little things that led up to the big decision at Wisconsin. Most of them not even public.
Sure.
Where there has been more public stuff in Iowa City where you go, wow, Wisconsin now sees themselves in a different light. Why don't we? And then I look, Ravi, around the Big Ten West. And I did this little experiment. To me, the West had one wild weekend. Minnesota, to me, with a healthy Mo Ibrahim, is still the favorite in the West.
I agree.
Okay. It's not like Purdue walked into the Twin Cities and blew Minnesota out. They didn't have the top running back. I still think Minnesota is the favorite. Now, Purdue put themselves in a good spot because they have the tiebreaker. Don't forget about the team that's playing in Champaign. If I'm looking at the West and I'm looking at my current situation, you've got 2 of the 7 jobs are now open. Let's take Bielema off the table because he just got there and they like what he's doing.
Seems to be killing it. Yeah.
Okay. Personality and all of a sudden people are talking about Illinois football. I mean, look they're a favorite at home against Iowa.
Yeah.
When was the last time that Illinois at home was a favorite against Iowa, which basically turns into a road game for Illinois because there is so much black and gold in that stadium? It's been a long time.
Yeah, I think you probably have to go back to the Juice Williams era.
So take Wisconsin, Nebraska, Illinois out of this mix. What has happened at Nebraska, what has happened probably more shattering at Wisconsin. Because I think people around the league, even opposing coaches, are like, yeah, the writing's on the wall. Good luck, Frost. They're like, whoa, Sunday during the Packers game, when you get that notification that Paul Chryst is out, you go, what? So what does it do at Iowa? Maybe not much because Kirk Ferentz is getting towards the end.
Yeah.
But it has the impact of what is the next step at Iowa? Is the next step at Iowa to keep the identity, let's say offensively, of what you've done in the past? Because Wisconsin will be in the same thing as, okay, what does this do? As Sam was alluding to, what does this do like to Wisconsin with their identity on offense? Do they all of a sudden change? At Iowa, you're getting towards the end. But this does make you start to think the future of the Big Ten. Are we prepared to go into the future of the Big Ten? Because all of a sudden, this nice little West Division, which everybody says, hey, I can fix you. It's broken. And we all say, oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. We're fine right here. We're okay right here. What does that do for you? What does it do at Northwestern with your facilities and a new stadium on the way? And all of a sudden, it's not one great year, one bad year, one great year, one bad year. It's now looking like back-to-back bad years.
Yep.
What does that do for a coach that is a lifer?
Thought to be untouchable.
Okay. Minnesota is in a good spot.
Yes.
They like PJ Fleck. They can retain PJ Fleck. There's not many programs in the country that would look at PJ Fleck, even though they like his track record in Minnesota. You're handing your program over to him to rebrand that would be comfortable doing that.
Sure.
Most of those are programs that are building up
below what Minnesota is now.
Yeah. His next jump would be to a program that is already in place, not a start over and build it.
Yes.
But I think if you're Minnesota, you have somebody you finally like that is doing good things. You find any way possible to keep them, just like maybe KU. We'll get to Leipold in a little bit. But then there's also Purdue. So Purdue is in an interesting spot where Jeff Brom entered the year a little bit on the hot seat. They're a confusing team.
They are a confusing team.
2 weeks ago, they won by 2 over FAU.
Which is not good.
Then they go to Minnesota and they win a football game. They weren't great, but they won a game on the road in the Big Ten against the team that I think is the favorite to win the West. The future of Purdue football, basing off what you've seen 2 fellow West Division schools do, what do you do at Purdue? I think there are athletic directors and there's probably fan bases that look at what happened in Madison on Sunday and then they look at their program and go, wow, how does that affect us? And maybe the only program, again, we're taking Bielema out of this because he's only been there for 2 years, is Minnesota, where that didn't affect us at all. We're still going to be Minnesota. I think the rest of the programs go, what are we doing?
I think it affects Iowa the most, right? Because Iowa, out of the teams that in the West, right? Iowa's the only one that's kind of in the same situation as Wisconsin right now. In that, okay, Nebraska already fired their head coach. We don't know what that looks like moving forward. You mentioned Minnesota and Illinois appear to be happy with their head coaches as they should be. Purdue, I think, institutionally and with their infrastructure, has a lower ceiling than Iowa or Wisconsin. I just think they do. So you're really looking at Iowa as the only team left over, and Northwestern the same. I think they have a lower ceiling than Iowa or Wisconsin. So you're looking at Iowa as the team that's left over that you look at them, and do some of those people around Iowa City start to wonder, hey, if we don't move on from Kirk Ferentz, because it feels like it's backsliding a little bit, right? The offense keeps getting worse. He refuses to move on from his son as offensive coordinator. You've had some issues in the past with the strength and conditioning coach and the controversy and everything there. If you're looking at Iowa and you're saying, are we getting better right now or are we falling behind? Because Iowa and Wisconsin to a certain extent, but I think especially Iowa, has taken a lot of comfort in being able to be the best out of a mediocre pack of Big Ten West teams. But as you mentioned, you've got USC and UCLA coming in. I would imagine you have at least 2 more teams coming in after that. We don't know who
Somewhere
yet.
down the road, you could have upwards of 4 more join your league.
And probably fairly premier programs, right? Is that a fair assumption? I don't think the Big Ten's going to go trying to pick up MAC schools, right? They're going to be an Oregon and a Washington or somebody like that.
Essentially, there will be no off weekends in the new Big Ten.
100%, right? You can't make this decision, and this is why you were applauding Wisconsin. If you're Iowa, you can't make this decision based on, we think Kirk Ferentz can get us by in the West for a couple more years. you have to look at it and say, if we aren't ramped up and ready to go for whatever our division looks like in 3 years from now, we're going to be in trouble. Because Iowa was wandering in the desert for a while before Kirk Ferentz got it going there. I don't think they want to return to that purgatory. And if they don't get things ramped up now to be ready to go for whatever the new Big Ten looks like, because it's not going to be this Big Ten West forever. You probably only have a couple more years of being able to beat up on Illinois and Purdue and down Nebraska and Northwestern and get half of your season win total right there and get yourself to a Big Ten championship game based on beating inferior opponents. At the time of that is likely gone very soon. I think Wisconsin sees that. I think they acknowledge that, and they're like, yeah, let's give Jim Leonard a little runway here to see if he's our guy. Iowa doesn't seem to be seeing that yet, and if they do, it hasn't filtered enough into the ears of people who matter and make decisions there, because if they're still where they are 3 years from now, and you've got USC, UCLA, and maybe more teams coming into the league, they could get past really quickly, and then it's going to be hard for them to catch up.
See, I think in Iowa City, he determines when he's ready to go.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
It's the Bobby Bowden, Joe Paterno problem.
Now, moving forward, it would be nice in 2022 to know what the structure of the Big Ten is going to look like 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Like we think, okay, is there going to be pods? Is there actually going to be, divisions? Is USC and UCLA immediately coming to the West and there's going to be
you kick out Purdue and Illinois or what?
But if you are, let's say, and this is hypothetical, and this is just part of this discussion, and you're looking at expanded playoff, you're looking, you think it might be a situation that if you happen to win your division now in the Big Ten, you've got a chance to be in the playoff.
A real
where
shot,
the Big
yes.
Ten could get 3 teams.
Yeah.
The Big Ten could get 4 teams. So you're thinking about your division. Well, is USC going to join the West? And all of a sudden, the Ohio State that you have avoided
lives in your backyard,
is now in your division, and you have to overcome them to get to Indy or wherever the Big Ten championship game is, because once you get there, you're got a great shot to be playing in the college football playoff.
Or maybe if you're an Iowa or Wisconsin, I mean, everybody is East compared to USC and UCLA, right? So if they do keep divisions, we don't really know who they're going to kick out over to the East in order to balance things out a little bit. So it could be any of you, really. Any of the current Big Ten West teams theoretically could end up in the Big Ten East to balance things out however the conference sees fit. So you might be dealing with, Ohio State West in USC, or you might be dealing with actual Ohio State if you get booted over to the East. You can't make these decisions anymore based on, well, I can navigate the West. The West is easy enough to navigate. If I put things together for a couple years and we play solid, we don't have to be spectacular. Everybody else will screw up and we can steal a West Division title. We'll call it the Northwestern model, right? You can steal a West Division title every 3 or 4 years. That's not going to be the case anymore. There's going to be too many good teams across the league to accidentally win division titles. And Wisconsin acknowledged that. I think that's why they made the move they did right there. I think Nebraska's acknowledging that. They've got everything else in place, right? Nebraska's the infrastructure in place. They just have to get the head coach right. Iowa, I don't know what their NIL situation looks like. I don't know what their booster situation looks like in terms of compared to Nebraska. But I do know what their head coaching situation looks like. And to me, whether that's because he won't move on from his kid or because he's kind of aging out of being a really high-level head football coach, if you're Iowa, do you feel super comfortable with Kirk Ferentz and your current status quo moving into the new world order of the Big Ten? Because I wouldn't feel great about that if I were them. I'd be pretty concerned about where our place will be when things finally settle down. And so I think Wisconsin's move is most directly related to Iowa and what their future looks like. And if I had to guess, Iowa's probably going to hold on too long because that seems like the Iowa thing to do. And because Kirk Ferentz has such a long track record and such equity built up, it's going to be really hard to get rid of him. It wasn't that hard to get rid of Paul Chryst. going to be really hard to get rid of Kirk Ferentz if he doesn't want to leave. They, to me, are in the most danger zone here, and Wisconsin's really put that in the limelight.
All right, 8:29. There's Robbie. I'm Gary. Jimmy here as well. It's 1620 The Zone in the mornings. 951-1620. You can join us on the Les Hills Harley-Davidson hotline. BC AK in the next hour. And I wonder, well, we're going to get into a little bit of recruiting. Is when I hear the word, we need to get back to being a development program. Will recruiting rankings matter moving forward for Nebraska? We'll get into that with BC when he joins us after the top of the next hour. There is a happy Niner fan this morning, Robbie.
Oh, I'm in a great mood this morning.
People on the stream want us to talk more Niners.
Listen, I'll talk Niners all day. Give me some Bosa, baby.
His numbers through 4 games are unreal. He's got 23 quarterback pressures.
He is so disruptive.
Is he leading the NFL in sacks too?
I think so. The level to which he disrupts a team's offense is unbelievable. It's a lot of fun if you're not rooting for the other team.
What an interesting division.
It really is. I really don't know what to expect. I don't at all. Which is fun, right? It makes a good time.
Think of what we're doing here in 2022 with our football. College football is upside down.
Yeah.
We are going to enter a weekend where there's the Red River rivalry.
Nice little conference game.
Oklahoma and Texas not ranked. Only Big 12 game that does not feature a ranked team.
Bottom of the conference game.
There's no game day. There's no nude kickoff. Nothing.
It would have been an old school 11 a.m. FSN game.
Even Texas A&M, Alabama, which in the middle of the summer,
marquee matchup.
We were having the O-face because it's like Saban and Fisher.
CBS moved it tonight.
Great. They're going to fight at midfield. It's going to be awesome.
Battle royale.
Even the mascots are going to fight. The elephant and the dog. And now it's like, oh, hey, don't get the rat poison. That game is, game day is going to KU.
Yeah.
So,
of course.
So college football is already wild this year. Then you put in place the NFL, where we are on to week 4, and the Giants are 3-1, and the Eagles are the best team in the NFL.
Only undefeated team.
Huh. I mean, what?
And the Cowboys have Cooper Aikman winning 3 in a row.
I see what you did there. And Geno Smith is better than Russell Wilson.
I was going to say, is Geno Smith the best quarterback in the NFC West?
No, you just go NFL.
Hold on here. Wait a minute. Kyler Murray, we feel bad for because of his head coach. You might be onto something because Russell Wilson has outplayed, or Geno Smith has outplayed Russell Wilson.
He has.
Yeah.
He has. I think currently,
yes.
I'm not saying I'd bet on him long term.
Like Geno Smith, though,
he looks okay.
Yeah, his numbers and his productivity are really good for 4 games.
Yeah,
Pete Carroll's got to be like, yeah, now I made the right decision.
Isn't he in like the mid-70s completion percent? I mean, he's played pretty well.
And Russell Wilson looks lost.
Well,
now he's dinged up. And it's too bad for the Broncos. I really feel bad. Now, honestly, I like Williams.
Turn your sarcasm.
And he's out for the
meter.
year. Randy Gregory's out for a little bit. They have a coach who seems to be way over his head, who was a good offensive coordinator that they hired to get Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers is still in Green Bay.
They had to hire a coach for the coach.
Yeah.
That's not great.
It's terrible. It's terrible what's happened. Well, on the heels of that, the AFC West is not what we thought it was going to be.
No.
You got a bad coach in Las Vegas. You've got
probably a bad coach in San Diego, let's be honest.
Who's got a bunch of injuries.
Yeah.
And then you have Hackett in the Broncos.
Who,
if it wasn't for their
a
defense,
bad coach and a
who
bad
wasn't
QB.
for their defense, which is really, really good. I mean, the Broncos would be, hey, I've seen this show before.
Stop me if you've heard this before, but the Broncos defense is incredible, and all they need is a functional quarterback. Have we heard that refrain before?
Yeah, we have. All right. 1620 The Zone morning show. Okay.
Irrational confidence.
I've said this all along. You're going to be able to convince me that a lot of these things that could end up happening are going to work. I don't think it's, now this is probably like, it doesn't give enough credit to the people who do it. I just don't think it's that hard.
Wow. Not that hard, huh?
That they haven't been doing.
It's got the 47 games.
Damn it, I told you to not take offense to this. Just do the fundamental things, and then we'll see where this lands.
The Connor Happer Show, weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast, presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch, from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Mostly cloudy, but staying warm on Tuesday. South breeze around 10 to 15 miles per hour. Any daytime showers will stay west of the metro. A better chance for spotty showers in the evening into Tuesday night. Highs around 81. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West 1 Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burden AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have multiple accidents to report, starting with one along I-480 near Leavenworth Street that has 2 left lanes blocked, so please be cautious if you are in that area. And we're also getting reports of an accident near 144th and Pacific. And then there is another accident to report near 156th and Blondo. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Scary Acres.
It's time for the gates to open.
Scary Acres is back. Omaha's ultimate haunted attractions. Scary Acres now open. 172nd and Giles. Sponsored in part by Stereo West, Raising Cane's, and High.
Husker football season is underway, and my friends at Tickets for Less are here for all your Husker ticketing needs, home and away. You want to secure tickets for the next game, or you need to sell your seats for a future game, Tickets for Less can help. Shop the best selection of Husker tickets now at ticketsforless.com, or you can call and order over the phone at 402-398-1999. If you love your Huskers and saving money, ticketsforless.com should be your go-to spot. With no per-ticket fees, you can always save big over the competition. Shop today at ticketsforless.com.
Shingles add beauty, protection, and value to your home. You want CertainTeed shingles. Carp's Complete Home Exteriors is a certified CertainTeed shingle master. When it comes to your roof, CertainTeed Shingles and Carp's have you covered. Online at carpsomaha.com.
J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers, offers exterior solutions that help you protect your number one investment. Whether it's roofing and siding or windows and doors, they're committed to excellence, quality, and outstanding customer service in every step of the process. When it's time to protect the exterior of your home, your choice is simple. Turn to who the Huskers turn to, J-Tech Construction. Check them out online and schedule a free estimate today. J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers. If COVID taught us anything, it's that local matters. Local shops, local restaurants, even locally brewed beers. October is Drink Local Month. So the Nebraska Craft Brewers Guild is challenging beer, seltzer, and cider drinkers like you to put your palate through its paces and drink local brews. Because seriously, Nebraska is really on the cutting edge when it comes to brewers who think outside the box. And besides, you really want to be drinking what they drink over in Iowa? Didn't think so. Click drinklocalnebraska.com.
Everyone deserves to be connected. That's why Cox has high-speed internet to fit any budget. Stream, chat, and connect at an incredible price. You're probably thinking, wait, what? But yeah, it's true. Learn more at cox.com/ACP. Non-transferable, one per household. Application and eligibility decisions are made by the FCC. Other restrictions apply.
Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard has something fun for all ages. New this year is Stefan's Country Drive. Antique cars where the kids are in the driver's seat. Plus, there's a new carousel. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard is also opening a whole new part of the farm, the cider mill, with more than 50 other attractions included with admission. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard is the place to be this fall. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard, Gretna, Nebraska. Now open through October 31st.
If you love food, love fun, love fall, you'll love Vallis Pumpkin Patch best of all.
Duck Defense Midwest makes your home healthier and improves the life of your HVAC system. So improve the health of your home and everyone in it. Go to cleanairradio.com for a special duct cleaning offer for Zone listeners. That's cleanairradio.com.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
1620 The Zone.
Welcome back in. There's Robbie. I'm Gary. Jimmy here as well. It's 1620 The Zone in the morning, the Gary Sharp Show, whatever you'd like to call it. One other thing we are learning about college football, and this is off the Ken Dorsey meltdown in the coach's booth in Miami.
Yep.
is that's going to be the thing, right? We're going to show a lot of the coach's booth after the Ole Miss celebration against Kentucky. Couple of observations there. And I think I can speak with full authority on this. One, the coaches' booths are tiny.
Yeah, give them some room up there, guys.
And that's even their home game. So that's their coach's booth, and it is tiny.
They're crammed in there like sardines, man.
For those of us that are a little bit bigger and that have a boiler, and sometimes it goes over the side of your pants.
Some spillage.
And I felt bad because
they kept showing it.
Yeah, and you got your belly is bouncing up and down. And, like that's the biggest fear. Like I take off a hoodie and I've got a T-shirt underneath. I'm like, trying to make sure that my shirt doesn't go up to show off my belly.
You're trying to take the hoodie off with one hand and keep the shirt down with the other. I think we've all been there.
That camera angle in the Ole Miss booth was not kind to the big fellas.
Unforgiving. Yeah.
You can't walk that back when you're jiggling and jiving.
It's true.
Yeah.
And the excitement gets the best of you. I understand that. Maybe moving forward, we work on a like a base layer. Maybe have like an Under Armour, a compression shirt that is going to stay in place there. That's probably the way to go. He probably forgot there was a camera in there.
Yeah.
To be fair. So I feel for him on that for sure. But I also felt like I thought they were going to stop showing it at some point because it was fairly unflattering, and they just kept going back to the well.
Man, I love the excitement.
Sure,
but maybe that my eyes were immediately going to, oh, he's gonna hate that when he gets home.
I think everybody
did.
To him. I think everybody saw. I mean, it was right at eye level. The camera was in a spot where that was particularly unflattering. Maybe put the camera high instead of low. We've got it's more flattering angle.
How about the camera that is not right in the face of the coach that's sitting close to it?
Yes. Yeah. The one that's like in the corner with the guy that's 3 feet from him. And it's not great. I know we could do better with the coach cams.
I know they would never do this in real time, but God, I would love to hear like a headset mic'd up.
Oh, yeah.
Where you could hear the conversation between downstairs and upstairs.
I would even take it after the fact. Like if I could watch a game on Big Ten Network where I got those live feeds, and again, they would never do it because they feel like they're giving away secrets and things like that. But even if they edited it for the like swears and stuff like that I'm sure occur, I would love that. That would be, I feel like, one of the more educational things you could experience.
I've said this numerous times on the show. One of the best bits of content that Husker Vision put out is on their highlight reel of the 97 season and the Orange Bowl. They had the conversation between T.O. and Frank mic'd.
Oh, yeah.
And that was some of the greatest insight to one of the best play callers of all time, how he thinks ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they've already called the 1st down and 10 play, and he knows that this is going to get 6. And before that play is run, he's already on to what they're going to call on 2nd down. And him and Frank talking, I thought was among the best piece of content that Husker Vision ever put out. And that was a special circumstance because that was T.O.'s last game.
Well, now I'm going to have to go to YouTube and watch this after all this.
I don't know if it's up on YouTube.
I was going to say, because I thought I've seen all the things.
I think somewhere in the 5 storage places that I have or 2 houses, I've got the VHS tape.
You need to upload
season.
that. You need to get it digitally remastered and upload it to the YouTubes. Come on, man.
Certainly there's a Husker fan that can get that on YouTube because they're great.
I did that as a gift once, is to take someone's VHS tapes and put them on a DVD. Yeah. That's the last time I do that. A couple of emails in the Equitable Bank inbox. This is from Iowa JD. He says, I'm already firmly believing that this is Kirk's last year. I don't think Kirk wants to fire his own son, but he is going to have to. I think instead of doing that, he will retire. Now, as for Iowa, they are changing. Every quarterback after Petrus, they have recruited as dual threat. So, yes, I do believe they will evolve. I mean, if Iowa could have Brad Banks every year.
Oof.
I mean, Brad Banks is one of the more dynamic quarterbacks that Iowa has ever had, and successful. I love Brad Banks.
Should have won the Heisman.
Coaches I want.
Uh-oh.
Now, this is Iowa. So, Iowa JD thinks that this will be Kirk's last year. LeVar Woods. So this is a scenario of, okay, we have Jim Leonard at Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
We love Jim Leonard. Okay, Jim Leonard's defenses have stood on their own for the last few years. It has been more what the offense has put him in a position outside of the Ohio State game that has ailed the Badgers. Okay, Washington State, and then against Illinois. We got him on our staff. Let's see. We don't want him to go anywhere else. LeVar Woods, who is, I am a huge LeVar Woods fan. He's good people, as they say.
Okay.
He's a good coach. I think anybody that can master coaching special teams has something special about him. Does he want to be a head coach? I don't know. I mean, you think about the Iowa staff. Maybe it's age. Maybe he doesn't want to. But Phil Parker's name really never comes up. He's 59. He's the defensive coordinator at Iowa.
Yeah.
That's on a side note. So LeVar Woods, Mark Stoops, Bob Stoops, Brett Bielema.
Yeah, I mean, those are, you're going high.
There's
heavy.
That basically is the
there.
family. Yeah, that's the family.
There's a theme there. You're going heavy on the Iowa guys. I don't. You think Bielema leaves? I mean, maybe Iowa's the only spot.
Everybody has their price.
Well, I mean, look at Bielema. And Iowa and Illinois are playing this weekend.
Yeah.
You have a guy who said, it's a hell of an idea when you're 19 years old and you get a Tiger Hawk tattoo after playing at Iowa. But now you've bounced around and everybody keeps bringing that. I mean, look at Shenander. Hey, guys, got an Iowa tattoo. I mean, what is it? You go to Iowa and you get a tattoo?
Apparently.
But would Bielema leave? Because we've got, Action Zach. He would love Bielema is his number one guy, and he's been saying that for a long time at Nebraska. Bielema, after what he's doing in year number 2 at Illinois, a place where he's back, he's got a better relationship with his athletic director and above the athletic director than he ever had at Arkansas. Now, he had a great relationship with Jeff Long, but Jeff Long got sideways up above him, and then once Long was gone, Bielema was gone.
Yes, yeah.
And it didn't turn out so well at Arkansas.
Yep.
I mean, you're dropped in that division, and they say, hey, welcome to the SEC. Would he leave a place that he just got to in trying to resurrect his image?
Well, and
because the people in Madison might say, man, you want to come back home?
Come on back.
People in Nebraska are like, hey, I know it didn't work out a few years ago when you had interest or whatever that was. Come on back. Does he say, sometimes I found the right place for me?
Well, I think people underestimate how important the relationship with the hierarchy is, right? The relationship with the university structure, because you're right. If you lose an AD, you lose a president, you lose a chancellor in terms of people who have your back or who brought you there or who have your support, and your job position becomes dicey in a hurry. That's just the case with all college athletics. It always has been. And so if you're in a place where you're Brett Bielema and you go to Illinois, where they do have pretty modest expectations, they have supported you pretty aggressively at this point, and there's no reason to think they're going to stop that. And seemingly you're fairly happy. I don't know that it makes sense. I mean, we've seen how many guys go back to their alma mater and it not work out. I mean, Wisconsin and Nebraska are a very couple startling examples there, where going home is not always the best thing for a football coach.
It's finally turned at Michigan. It has been, for the most part, successful at Northwestern, and there's no doubt it's been really successful at Oklahoma State.
Yes, but it's not always that way. Yep. There's sometimes a larger level of scrutiny for people that you know better, right? You're a little bit harder on your family than you are on maybe an outsider. It seems like Illinois is really, really appreciative to have Brett Bielema. Would Wisconsin be that appreciative? Would Iowa be that appreciative? Would Nebraska be that appreciative?
Here's another thing that comes up about him. And listen, Bielema knows how to play the game. Okay, he's got a personality. He can be a blowhard.
Yep.
He hated Bo. He loved beating Bo. He just did. If there was a coach in the Big Ten that got under Bo's skin, it was Bielema.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because Bielema basically was Bo. And both were Iowa guys.
Yeah.
They both had a connection to the Iowa program. One as a player and the other, being on a coaching staff there. So Bielema knew how to twist the knife into Pelini.
Mm-hmm.
I will never forget their picture they took at the Big Ten championship game the day before. I mean, it was very uncomfortable. I mean, Bo doesn't like, Bo's like dressed up. Bielema shows up in flip-flops and a sweatsuit. Okay. Is I hear this about Bielema, and, he's now got, he met his wife at a casino in Vegas. He's got, there's all the famous pictures out there of him being shirtless. He's a personality.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows how to coach a certain type of football. The one knock I hear here is he wouldn't be a personality fit. And I go, well, what look
about
at the different
him?
Personalities we've gone through from, Devaney, which, God, Devaney was about, as different a personality as you could get,
Mm-hmm.
to Callahan, to Riley, to Bo, to Frost. The personality fit, get out of here. You can have any personality you want if you win football games.
That's the personality people care about.
Yeah,
is
if you
winning.
win football games,
Nobody cares.
So the only time you care about Bielema's personality is when he's not winning.
Yeah.
Oh, he's hurting the program. So I don't know where that comes from. But with that said, Zach emails us and he said, in our discussion, Robbie and I were having earlier in the hour about when you make a move at Nebraska and then even more so at Wisconsin, which you didn't see coming,
Mm-hmm.
what does that do to the other 5 teams in your division? Does that make them look at their current situation? So this is Zach's scenario to strengthen the Big Ten West, which there was a national guy I was listening to on Sirius yesterday said, we need to fix the Big Ten West. I'm telling you, pal, there's 7 teams in this division. They don't want that fixed. They like where it's at because they got a shot. Okay. They like playing West Division football. Lance Leipold to Wisconsin, Brett Bielema to Nebraska, Matt Campbell to Iowa. I will tell you, Zach, that I will go and produce a child and name it after you if Matt Campbell is ever the head football coach at Iowa. That is not happening.
Yeah,
I'm on record.
That's fair.
On record.
Let's put it on the board.
I will produce a child.
We'll
I
make
will
Zach the permanent co-host with you.
Well, I'll stick with my thing. I'll produce a child. I'll name it after you if Matt Campbell's ever coaching at Iowa. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think there's any danger of that. I think that's fair. Yeah, it's I don't think there's any danger of Brett Bielema coming to Nebraska either, to be honest. But
so and
I like him. I like Brett
Here's
Bielema.
the thing. The unfortunate thing in the business right now is the same lists that are being used outside of Colorado. Colorado's a lost cause. Colorado's completely
Colorado's got to go completely off the map for a hire.
But Wisconsin and Wisconsin and Nebraska, it's basically the same names recycled.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So it's
if you're Nebraska, you're lucky.
Sharing the list.
You're lucky that Wisconsin likely wants to keep their guy already because he doesn't take a candidate away from you.
So Lance Leipold is, he's on everybody's list. Brett Bielema, because of what Illinois has done, and they still, you're still waiting for him to do something next.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they win this weekend, okay.
This gets interesting.
What if you're the athletic director at those respective schools in Champaign or Lawrence, and you finally have a football coach that has brought some credibility to your program? Aren't you fighting to keep him?
Oh, I'm sure you are.
But
there's only so much you can do.
But here, listen to me about Leipold.
Yeah.
And this is Jimmy. Jimmy's a KU guy. Jimmy's upset that Sudeikis isn't going to be able to pick the games because he's filming Ted Lasso, and
I don't care about that.
You're going to be stuck with Rob Riggle.
I'm okay with Riggle.
Rob Riggle is like overexposed. He's everywhere.
It's Ted Lasso or bust.
Oh, if we're going to go there, let's just bring Mangino back, have him be the guest picker.
You're an athletic director. You make a commitment to these coaches and say, hey, I'm not letting you go.
Mm-hmm.
I am not letting you go. Yeah, the job in Nebraska is better than our job, but you know what? I got you here, and I think I have something. I'm going to keep you. There's also the part of at KU where they now have a really good athletic director who all of a sudden sees his stadium full for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and people are talking about, basketball begins in 34 days, and people in Lawrence, Kansas are talking more about the football program than basketball. That is a sign right there. And I say, hey.
Basketball team that won a national title last year, by the way.
I say, Lance, come in my office. Look at what I got in this folder. Are we discounting that athletic directors are not going to fight to keep a Leipold or a Bielema or any other coach that's being mentioned? Like the athletic director in Waco. He's going, phew, looks like Jim Leonard's going to stay at Wisconsin. I don't have to worry about Aranda, but what about that other job? No. I'm going to fight to keep you here. And there's the
donors.
And there's the other part of like a Leipold or an Aranda who get mentioned, does there come a point where they say, man, I hate responding to all these rumors and all these questions that are coming from you? I got a pretty good deal. Let's sign an extension. Would it surprise you if, let's say, in KU plays TCU this weekend, game day is there, even though the KU TCU game is on FS1, it's not like, on a family of ESPN networks or
which they don't do very often.
So you have game day is in Lawrence, not at Allen Fieldhouse. They're at Memorial Stadium or whatever it's called nowadays. I hope it's still Memorial Stadium.
It is,
but they've got now a title on it. It's like Bob's Family Memorial Stadium.
They try to call it the booth. It'll always be Memorial
Would you be
Stadium
surprised if after this weekend, and it wouldn't just be, hey, we won against TCU, come into my office, let's do an extension.
Yeah.
If Lance Leipold signed an extension at KU, and an extension where you believe it's true that means he's staying.
A real extension, not like a, hey, we've got a soft buyout here and whatever. I would be surprised, because
I'm tired of all the rumors. I like where I'm at. We got a great deal here. We got something cooking.
Now,
Nebraska, there's a lot of things there. But, I'm 59, and I found a place, and I've never really been a guy to go chase jobs.
Sure.
I've gone from Wisconsin Whitewater to Buffalo to KU. Hey.
And they're fixing to unveil the plans for the stadium.
Let's make a commitment here because we got some momentum, and you know what? We can build off of this to bring more people to Lawrence, Kansas.
So it would surprise me less with Leipold than it would with like an Aranda because of the age. You mentioned he's pushing 60. That's one of my honestly only critiques of him as a candidate at Nebraska is the age, where I wish he was 5 years younger to give him a little bit more runway here at Nebraska if it were to work out. But here's the thing that I keep coming back to at places like Kansas, at places like Iowa State, at places like Baylor, is what is the sustainability like there? Because when you're looking at these programs that have not been historically successful, you have coaches that have these moments and then they return back to earth. They have a chance where maybe they could have gone somewhere else, and either they do or they stay and they come back down to earth because the program kind of has a ceiling. That's what I wonder about at a place like Kansas, because it's always going to be basketball first. I get that they've had full stadiums for a few weeks now, and that's awesome. And I get they had a really cool little run under Mangino back 15 years ago. I like Lance Leipold. I like Kansas. I wonder about the sustainability of success at a place like that, because anytime you have a kind of smaller population base, you have a smaller amount of money coming in from television stuff because you're in the Big 12, you don't necessarily have I don't know what their NIL situation is for football. I imagine it's pretty good for basketball. But you have split resources because you have so much money devoted to basketball. I wonder how sustainable it is at a place like Kansas.
Well, and I'll put it to you one way. Several years ago, when I was working there, I had an athletics person pretty high up literally tell me this. There is a segment of BMDs, donors, fans, whatever, not a huge segment. There is a segment of the money folks that actually do not like football winning because, as weird as it sounds, in just when you say it out loud, they feel that hampers the basketball, that it hurts, it hinders the basketball program. And therein lies the problem historically with Kansas. So that's what the new AD and administration is trying to overcome, that it supports the greater whole. And even the fact that your men's basketball coach, who is a Hall of Famer, is one of the biggest supporters of Lance Leipold in the football program, you still have that segment of the fan base. And that is kind of what you're going to, the sustainability. Like, okay, that's nice you won, but can you sustain it over time? And they're trying to show that they are by getting the stadium completely redone, by getting people in the seats. But the second that, let's say, they take a step back and they have success this year, next year, whatever, and then they suddenly go down to 4 or 5 wins while they're reloading, do they completely jump off the bandwagon? And that's been historically what a lot of the younger fans have done. Oh, we suck again. When's basketball? When's late night? So that's what they're fighting against. That's what Lance has come into and is trying to overcome. And if they can pull it off, it can be a really good place permanently.
I mean, Trev Alberts walks into a meeting at, the Bob Evans in Lawrence, and it's Lance Leipold and his agent, I mean, KU can't compete against Nebraska.
It's Perkins, Gary. Let's get it right.
But there's part of me of this whole search. And again, you always got to account for the surprising pop on the radar that you did not expect. Do coaches that are in these situations that have never been one to be chasing jobs say, I want to kill the rumors, let's make a commitment?
So you hear it a lot. I mean, you'll have them say things a lot, right? You'll have them say, oh, I'm only focusing on Kansas right now, or I'm committed to Kansas. I mean, a very famous one happened with Kansas basketball with Roy Williams.
Exactly where I went to.
I don't give a bleep about North Carolina right now, right? And then a week later, he's the head coach of North Carolina, right? So you hear them say things a lot to try and squash the rumors. Signing an extension would certainly do so more forcibly. But again, I think a lot of these coaches have an awareness of where they're at and what limitations their program might have.
But there's also, they think about the limitations on what they currently are at, on their ability to make a jump to a place where it's noisy.
Sure.
It's not noisy around KU football.
Well, and that's why I said
they'll always love you.
Leipold would surprise me less than like an Aranda. I don't know that, Aranda doesn't have the ties to he's young, he's moved jobs. He went from Wisconsin to LSU for basically a lateral move, same position, to advance his career. A younger guy like Aranda, I don't think is going to make that commitment. If you're Leipold and you're 59 and you're like, yeah, let's retire at Kansas, they're great to me. That I could maybe see, but that's a pretty rare situation for most of the coaches that we're talking about. Because he's definitely on the older end by 5 to 10 years than just about everybody else we're talking about at Nebraska.
Besides the obvious, the thing that will keep Lance Leipold at Kansas is the relationship he has with Travis Goff, the AD. They kind of came in together, almost not necessarily, but a package deal. They have a very strong relationship and strong communication. If anybody can keep that there, it would be Travis Goff is to do that. And Lance just seems, and his wife seem to genuinely love being there. So it would be surprising. And I'm not trying to say that to be biased or anything. I'm just saying it would be very surprising to see him leave that, because they're now just starting to tap into what's possible to grow, to build his program.
It wouldn't be surprising, though, because that's what every coach does. I mean, we've seen this this is every head coaching search, right? And we hear this, and I'm not hating on you, Jimmy, but this is what you hear from every fan base, right? It's like, oh, his family really loves it here. He's got a great relationship with the AD. They're going to build him a new facility and blah, blah, blah. And guess what? They take the bigger job. Almost every single time they take the bigger job, because coaches have egos. They always believe they can do the bigger job. They believe they can be the one that turns it around at Nebraska or Texas or LSU or wherever they go. The ego plays a huge part in wanting the biggest job available.
But in this cycle, Aranda was courted by LSU and USC.
Yeah.
He said, Waco, Texas, and Baylor University is a better spot for me right now.
Do you think he was their first choice, though? Because you take Lincoln Riley over Dave Aranda, right?
Well, I think Lincoln Riley fell into Oklahoma's or USC's lap. But before but as they're going through the process of the job is open, and remember, they had a long runway to making a decision.
I know his name was out there. I know his name was out there for both of those. I just don't know how real it was, right? Because I don't know what discussions were happening with Lincoln Riley before it became official. I don't know what discussions LSU had with Brian Kelly before that became official, because both of those teams were pretty highly rated at the time. So that's what I don't know. I don't know if he was a real candidate for the job or if he was a fan candidate.
Well, I'm glad we brought up both of those, because we got to take a break here. But I just keep reminding people, and it may be Mickey Joseph, it may be Lance Leipold, it may be Dave Aranda. Last year, we had the sitting coach at Notre Dame, the sitting coach at Oklahoma leave their jobs.
Yep.
And you went, whoa. There's somebody out there that's not being mentioned that would fit the bill.
Sitting coach at a big job
is a surprising, jaw-dropping, wow. Because we didn't expect Brian Kelly to move or Lincoln Riley to move.
Those were shockwaves
now,
for sure.
When we pull back the curtain, we're like, okay,
it makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
But at the time, it didn't.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good question.
All right, backed up a little bit. We got Brian Christopherson, Andy Kendi coming up in the last hour on 1620 The Zone.
Bill Jones.
And Olivia.
Here again for Jones Bros Cupcakes and Cafe. Jones Bros is famous here at Omaha for catering delicious breakfasts and lunches for business meetings.
If I own a business, I cater Jones Bros every day.
Sounds good to me, Olivia.
For breakfast, I cater French toast with warm syrup and croissant donuts. That'd be a good day at work.
Go with it, Olivia. Check out our website at jonesbroscupcakes.com for catering.
Jones Bros Cupcakes in Exarban Village.
For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
Brent Rasmussen of Mortgage Specialists. When is the best time to buy a house? The answer is now. It's always now. With interest rates creeping up, the real estate market has slowed down, except for the people that were planning on upgrading their home because of life changes. But the one thing we want to let people know is, even if you buy a house now at the higher rate, we anticipate rates to fall. That means you can buy your house now and refinance down the road. Lots of folks think waiting this out is a good strategy. The trouble is values keep rising, so waiting doesn't really help. Plus, if rates come back down, the market will just get busy again, meaning you'll be competing against more buyers with multiple offers, and you might not get the house that you want. We're seeing the market starting to get back to normal, which is a good thing for buyers and sellers.
Click mtg-specialists.com. NMLS number 5918, Equal Housing Lender.
Creighton Sports Update.
Creighton men's basketball tips off the highly anticipated 2022-2023 season next month. Don't miss any of the action with season tickets. Limited seats remain, so act fast and guarantee your seat for every game at CHI Health Center Omaha before it's too late. Get your tickets online at gocreighton.com/MBB tickets.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Guys, want an effective, affordable way to get ED medication 100% online? Whether you're looking for Viagra or Cialis, or generic medications as effective as Viagra but 90% cheaper, you can find it all through HIMS. HIMS is your go-to for doctor-trusted treatments to help you treat ED. Get ED treatment for as low as $3 per use and save up to $1,000 per month with generic for Viagra versus the brand name at 4hims.com/radio. If prescribed, your medication will be shipped to your door in discreet packaging. Do it all online. No in-person appointments. Get hard results with HIMS or your money back. Go to 4hims.com/radio to get your first visit free. That's 4hims.com/radio to get started free. forhims.com/radio.
Employee onboarding?
Automated.
Customer support?
Automated.
What if you could automate all your company's routine operation tasks and do it easily?
Lead management?
Automated.
With Zapier, you can. Zapier is the leader in no-code automation. Connect over 5,000 apps, automate almost any workflow, and streamline your team's performance without hiring a developer and with no coding required. That's right. Zapier's templates make it simple for you to automate anything in minutes, no matter your level of expertise. Zapier eliminates routine tasks and frees your employees to focus on the bigger picture. And with Zapier's advanced security features and annual SOC 2 audits, your data is safe and secure. See why thousands of companies, including Slack, Salesforce, and HubSpot, trust Zapier to automate their businesses.
Even complex tasks?
Automated with Zapier.
Try Zapier for free today at zapier.com/radio. That's zapier.com/radio. Zapier.com/radio.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-508-7409 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-508-7409. That's 800-508-7409. What do you have to lose? Call 800-508-7409. Again, 800-508-7409.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1, what's your why? More epic energy, better sleep, blow off steam? Step 2, join Planet Fitness for $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime, and get moving. Go cardio crazy in our clean and spacious clubs, or get down with some dumbbells and strength equipment. Step 3, bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, October 14th. It's glow time. See club for details.
The best part of your summer night is listening to Royals baseball on 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone.
All right, coming up next, Brian Christopherson. Before he heads off to New Jersey/New York City, he'll join us. His thoughts on what are ahead. The OC and the DC speak today in Lincoln. So you have that to look forward to. We're back with more of 1620 The Zone in the mornings.
Attention, do you suffer from severe fried chicken-related cravings? If so, Kentucky Fried Chicken's $6 two-piece drum and thigh combo may be right for you. The combo contains tasty chicken, creamy mashed potatoes, a flaky biscuit, and an ice-cold drink. Side effects may include more money in your wallet, happiness, and the urge to lick your fingers. Order KFC's two-piece drum and thigh combo in the KFC app for just $6. That's finger-licking good. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Tax extra.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burden AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We're still getting reports of that accident along I-480 near Leavenworth Street, so please be cautious if you are in that area. Then along Highway 370, be prepared for some significant slowdowns near 150th, and on Industrial Road, be prepared for some significant slowdown from 144th to 132nd. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Hey everyone, it's John with Saul's. Great jewelry is always in fashion, and we have it all at Saul's. From diamond bracelets to rings to earrings and those one-of-a-kind gold pieces that you can't find anywhere else, and so much more. Smart shoppers start here at Saul's.
Email unsportsmanlike conduct on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox with whatever is on your mind, from your hot takes to what you think is one. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
The hot weather is over and fall begins at 42 degrees, and do we have the deals for you? Let's start with a large selection of pipes starting at $9.99. Looking for a quality vaporizer? We have a large selection from $24.99. Shopping for Kratom CBD candles, e-juice in bottles and disposables? Delta products up to 50% off with multiple locations, the friendliest, most knowledgeable and professional staff. Why shop anywhere else? 42 degrees, the source. By your mom's house.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
MD West One's team of neurosurgical spine specialists is the largest and most advanced in the greater Omaha metro. MD West One has been voted the #1 private practice and #1 in neurosurgery and spine by Best of Omaha year after year. They can help if you're suffering from recurring neck and back pain, weakness or numbness in your extremities, sciatica pain, or any other recurring issues stemming from your neck or back. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the spine team at MD West One.
At Lenahaw, our homegrown trees boast the most vibrant colors of fall, reds, yellows, and oranges. Shop our garden center today for the best selection of plant material and seasonal decor. When you think fall, think Lenahaw, 192nd and Center.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
3 weeks. It's incredible. After 3 weeks, I'm on vacation in Paris, having a conversation in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment. Go to babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
All right, welcome back in. We kick off the last hour. We welcome in, about to make his first trip to the big city after working on Friday night, Brian Christopherson of Husker 24/7. Are you packed? Are you ready? You've got your list of things that you want Michael Bruns to take you around the city to see?
Did I let this slip out? Yeah, this is my first time to New York City, but I don't want to make it seem like I am a guy who's like never left the state's borders or anything. It's just one of those. It's one of those places I've just happened to never be. I had a chance back in my newspaper days to cover Sue at the Heisman in New York, and I had plans with somebody that had been months in advance to go see a bad Viking team in Minnesota, and I stuck to those, and someone else went for us, and so that was my that was the one opportunity. I was supposed to be in New York, but I wasn't. But
do you have like a sightseeing mission in New York? Is there you have like a checklist of things like, hey, I'm spending a couple days in New York. This is what I have to get done.
No, in fact, I told Brunt, I said, let's not make this like it's a touristy thing. You're a good traveler. I don't need to see all the landmark stuff, really. Let's just, if there's something unique that you want to do, let's do that. So we're gonna be good teammates. We're gonna feed off each other. Like a head coach and his coordinator. I think Bruns has got to be the head coach on this trip. There's no question about that. So he's gonna have the ultimate say on what we do on 4th and 2 on some of these decisions. So that's where we're at.
Are you gonna trust him if he calls an onside kick here?
Hey, let's hop on the 7 train.
Where you're like, all right, guys, I think we're doing it.
We're gonna get you a New York slice from Sbarro's.
Yeah. Yep. I've used that joke already too with him, but he's the captain this week, so we'll see where we end up. I think I'm in safe hands though.
Why was the defense? And you have Bill Bush running it, and you can see. I use the word joy. There was a lot of joy in the fan base, but more importantly, there was joy between coaches and players. The process to win, the outcome, the reaction. But on defense, why do you simply think this was a more comfortable defense on Saturday night than in the previous 4 games?
Well, all I can do is go back to what all of those guys keep saying. They have the best word on it, and they really have highlighted the simplification part of it. And you heard Mickey even the other day say, just get lined up. That's a big part of football is like you're lined up, you're ready to go. You don't have, 2 of your 11 guys still searching for their spot, wondering where they're going to be, already a half step behind the play before it begins. And so I think Nebraska, they had talked for 2 weeks about, got to get the calls in, got to be really efficient about this. I think guys bought into that, and they accomplished that goal well, which was significant against an Indiana team that does like to play fast. Now, Indiana, I think being without Cam Camper was not a small thing in that game. When I realized he wasn't going to play, I was like, man, that's a big break, for Nebraska. It's just he was averaging 104 yards per game. Still, you play who's in front of you. That's who was in front of them. And, they played really, really good football except for the 2 series. You'd have to say the rest of the game they were dialed in and they had a grip on it. Now it's about kind of eliminating that little stretch of play like they had the last 6 minutes of the first half. But that's Big Ten football. You're going to get hit in the mouth. What I liked is how they responded after the break. They only gave up 71 yards in the second half, and I think it was like 5 yards in the fourth quarter. I'm not sure if I'm quite right on that. And now you're playing a Rutgers offense that, frankly, is not the strong point of that team. You know, they're down on the charts on a lot of stats too. So this is a chance for them to actually stack some momentum there.
Brian, I want to go to the other side of the ball with Casey Thompson here for a minute. What did you think of his performance? Obviously, he did get pulled for the one series. Seemed like it was because he was holding the ball for too long. At least that's what we heard. What did you think about his overall performance throughout the game against Indiana?
I thought he was good. I wouldn't say great. And I understand why coaches were a little frustrated with him early. I do think he was hanging on to it a little bit too long. And there was a sack or two that could have been avoided probably in a key situation. Now, did I necessarily agree with the decision to replace him with the ball on the 9-yard line? I didn't in the moment. My coworkers could say that. None of them did. We were all kind of like, this isn't the time for that move. The one thing I will say is Mickey's kind of doing that across the board with this squad. I mean, you're really seeing it you're seeing it at the right tackle spot where they're, Hunter Anthony's getting his crack at it now, and they're kind of going 50-50. You saw it where they weren't afraid to play a first-year freshman at cornerback and Malcolm Hartzog over Tommy Hill, who's, 4-star guy who was, kind of talked up all offseason, and they made kind of a bold move there. And I think it's really important to Mickey right now to show guys on this team, if we think there's something a little off or you're not doing it how we think it should be done, you're going to stand over here for a little bit. And maybe that was the wrong time to do it, but I can appreciate the big picture approach of that by Mickey and the staff right now as they're trying to build this team the way Mickey wants it built. So that's the one thing I'd say about that. Well, you got to give Casey credit for being a tough guy coming back and then, hitting the big throw when he had to, because it just felt like nothing was happening for a while in that game. It got sleepy. It was just all about the refs throwing flags for 2 quarters, and then he hits a 71-yard pass and everything felt a lot better. I think it's also interesting how Casey and Mickey are so candid in the interviews about like what they think about everything. That's some of the stuff they said yesterday is stuff you don't normally hear guys say in a press conference.
How much of that you think is Casey Thompson turned 24 yesterday?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think he, he's around the block. He's an old guy. He's going to speak his mind a little bit. I think it's also based on the fact that there's a connection with Mickey and him that goes back since he, was probably in diapers, and there's just that feeling like it's family. They're going to get after each other, and they're going to tell each other exactly what they think. And, I didn't think anything traveled into the public ear yesterday that was necessarily bad from what they said. But you'd have to say we don't always hear like exactly, the QB saying, yeah, I don't think you should take me out there. That's basically what he said. And he said that about his head coach. And then Mickey's like, well, I don't want to take you out there, but don't make me take you out there next time. And so I like the sort of family back and forth we had in front of the microphone. I thought it was actually quite enjoyable to listen to.
Brian, going with the offense again here, obviously Anthony Grant had another big game. Moving forward, is there a number of touches you think he needs to get per game in order for Nebraska to continue to have success on offense?
Well, it sure feels like we're headed toward he's a 25 carries a game type guy, sort of around that number. And he had, was it 32 on Saturday? But I think 25 is that you always it feels like that's the number people throw out there when you talk about a back who's getting consistent carries and stuff like that. This will be one of the toughest games of the year. Honestly, I think for Nebraska against Rutgers' run defense. You can say what you will about them building it up on offense and the steps they still have to take, but look at their rushing numbers on defense. They're really stout, and Mickey said it yesterday, and this is right. The one thing you know about Shiano teams, they're tough. I mean, they're gonna be ready for an alley fight, especially against Nebraska's run game. And so I think it's going to be really important that Anthony Grant, especially early in this game, on some of those plays where maybe 2 or 3 yards is the best you can get on a run, take your 2 or 3 yards and don't make that a 0, or a 1 yard loss, sort of like happened against Oklahoma a couple times. I think he learned a lot from that Oklahoma game. The thing I love about Anthony, though, is, I think he listens to his coaches pretty well in the game. And, they talked about him not seeing the holes as well early. And late in the game, he was showing patience. And on that last drive where they clinched it, he had like 4 runs in a row where that trait really shined for him and helped him pick up 6, 7 yards. And it really put the game to bed.
Still amazing. Last year, Nebraska didn't have a running back have 500 or more yards rushing. I know Ramir was at 495. Sticking with guys that might be unlocked, maybe this comfortability, just take out some of the I don't know, noise around play calls and just say, hey, go out there and play. Do you believe that maybe with that mindset on defense, that the Ty Robinson we've been waiting for gave us a glimpse on Saturday night that maybe the new Ty Robinson could evolve?
Yeah, I hope so. If Ty has anybody who's around him over there will say he's a really gifted player I've always thought he had like all conference type potential in him, but he hasn't, to be candid, he hasn't been close to that so far. He's just been a guy sort of. He does, he takes on a lot of workload for this team. But that was one of the best games I've seen him have. And it's not just because he made a sack either. I thought all game he was, being disruptive, and he was tough to block, and he was a force. And, I know he got challenged by his coaches, let it loose, let's not overthink this. Let's just go out. You got it. And I think Mickey Joseph and those guys know he's that type of guy. It's just like, he's such a smart guy. Don't over process this. Just go out and use your skills and react, and it'll take care of itself. And I think there was some of that going on. He would obviously be able to explain it better. I didn't hear from him exactly what he thought was the difference. But yeah, this is now where you want to see a guy like him and Garrett Nelson and Luke Reimer. And these are guys who were supposed to be the best players on your defense. And they played like the best players on the defense on Saturday. They played like top line guys. And so when the top of your roster is giving you that sort of output, usually others kind of follow suit. So those guys got to keep it going.
Brian, I'm curious what you thought about the offensive line play on Saturday, because it seemed like they were a little better than they had been, and we saw some different rotations in there. Obviously, you had the ejection of Corcoran, which caused some issues. Then you had Hunter Anthony getting in there a little bit as well. What did you make overall of that offensive line play?
I don't think they're a bad crew running the ball. In pass pro, it still feels pretty dicey to me. And it feels like, I know Casey complimented him yesterday, and I think that's a good move by him, trying to build those guys up about the good stuff they did. And he made a point that even he sent Brant Banks, who came in for Corcoran at left tackle, a text message right after and wanted to praise him. And I think that's good between a QB and O-line. That tackle spot still is it's just a big worry. And at this point, I'm not saying they have to work around it. Those guys can strive to get better, and they can try to, piece together more consistency at right tackle. But right now, it's one of those positions where I don't have a lot of trust in that particular spot. I think Hickson's doing some good stuff at center, and we haven't talked a ton about him.
Thank you for bringing him up, because we haven't talked about him, and that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, you got to give a couple guys their due, and I'm not going to act like Anthony Munoz here and can break down everybody who did what on the O-line. But I thought Piper, for his first game as a starter, it was okay, and that's something he can build on. And the good thing about Piper jumping into that left guard spot is you're not talking about a first-year player anymore. I mean, he's had kind of an up-and-down career, but he's a fourth-year guy. He should know things as well as anybody on that team. He's a smart guy, too. And, I think he started 10 or 11 games in his career now. So it's not like he's a newbie right there. So there are some things where they can be okay, but I still feel like they're working around their tackles if we're just being honest about it.
Saturday night was turned into a little bit of a ref show. They got to be on the mic a lot. They got to review a lot of stuff. There were some things that were questionable, but at the end of the night, Nebraska racked up a plethora of penalties, and they're third in the league with 35, but Rutgers is ahead of them at 40. Your level of concern, like moving forward with Nebraska's penalty total, I mean, that's 35 through 5 games.
It's not my biggest concern on this team. They were actually doing pretty well on that stat till Saturday. So, it really pushed them down the charts as far as their ranking on penalties. So, it's one of those where maybe it was one of those games. Every team feels like they have one or two a year where even the teams that are pretty clean, where they might hit around 100, or they have that game where the flags are just all out, or it's just a crew who wants to call everything. I think it was a mixture on Saturday. I think Nebraska legitimately earned a few of those. And then you had a crew that probably wanted to be part of it more than some other crews, which was unfortunate. I feel like sometimes in the past I've talked too much about the refs, and so I'm trying to get away from that a little bit. But it was clear early on in that game it was going to be one of those crews where both sides, it was just going to be stop and start. But that's when, as a player, you got to recognize the game you're in and the crew you're with. And, on Corcoran's situation, debate it as a punch or a slap or whatever you want to, but you have to know after a quarter and a half or whatever who's calling this game, and they're not going to give you much. And I know you're caught up in the moment. This is easier said than done a couple days after than when you're out there. But that's something you got to be mindful of, too, when you're in games like that, is how's this crew calling it? And, you got to play to that sometimes, too, a little bit. So I don't think Mickey minds some penalties that are based on aggression. It's the ones that are, the holdings and the 5-yard penalties that have it 1st and 15 right away. Those are the ones that I think really annoy him. And I think sort of kept us from seeing what Anthony Grant probably could have done. You know how in the fourth quarter he was rolling. I think that could have happened a lot earlier in that game if Nebraska had set her down in distances.
Brian, so I got to ask, you said penalties are not your biggest concern moving forward. What does rank higher on your list for the remainder of the season, or at least for the Rutgers game coming up here, that you are more concerned about?
I think in this particular game, it's the O-line, really, and like how they stack up against the run. I think Rutgers is a top 20 defense, and they're definitely, up there against the run. And, you can look at Rutgers' schedule, say, well, they haven't played everybody yet. Iowa, went out there and won 27-10, and they won because of 2 defensive touchdowns. So I know Iowa's offense hasn't really done anything against most anybody, so you might not take much from that. But the point is, Rutgers can play Big Ten teams and really keep them down. And obviously, with sort of the choppiness and the moving parts of the Nebraska front 5, that's a worry until it isn't, to me. And then, the defense you have to back it up now. That was a good day. Everybody's walking tall. And you can use that, but now you got to go out and you got to put forth that sort of game on the road and, make a play or two. And this is the type of game where, if one defense has a pick 6 or has that one play that's the 7-point swing, that very well might be what wins it. So Rutgers is going to have really good special teams. They have a very good punter. That's one of the best 5 in the country probably. So you got to know that he's going to probably pin Nebraska a time or two. So you just got to play smart football and avoid the play that happened to Purdue and that type of stuff on the road, because I don't think Nebraska necessarily has enough margin for error to overcome that on the road in the Big Ten right now.
I agree. BC, great stuff. Have a good time in the city. Safe travels out to Piscataway. Can you say that one time?
Piscataway.
I mean, we don't say that enough. We just say New Jersey or the East Coast. Or Rutgers. We need to say Piscataway.
It's a fun word, Piscataway.
Yeah, Piscataway. Thanks, BC.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7. Quick break. We'll come back with more. Andy Kendi will stop by. Probably got a thought or two on what's going on in Madison and what is moving forward. What does it look like for Jim Leonard? What's it look like for Wisconsin moving forward?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
Athletic director is relatively new.
Yeah.
They do have an investment into facilities and other things.
Yeah.
What do they do in Madison? AK would know. We'll talk to him coming up before we say goodbye on this Tuesday edition of the morning show on 1620 The Zone.
Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Nebraska needs that underdog mentality, even if they start getting good again. And unfortunately, there's just this attitude sometimes that exists that's like, well, we've been there before, so we can get there again. Well, yeah, you can get there.
It's so many steps down the road.
You've got to have that edge.
Yeah.
And you've got to also realize where you are right now, and where you are is in a very, very, very low place.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
Mostly cloudy, but staying warm on Tuesday. South breeze around 10 to 15 miles per hour. Any daytime showers will stay west of the metro. A better chance for spotty showers in the evening into Tuesday night. Highs around 81. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Dingman's Collision Center. 4 Collision Center locations serving you in Omaha and Papillion.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1, what's your why? More epic energy, better sleep, blow off steam? Step 2, join Planet Fitness for $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime, and get moving. Go cardio crazy in our clean and spacious clubs, or get down with some dumbbells and strength equipment. Step 3, bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, October 14th. It's glow time. See club for details.
When it comes to cement fiber siding, you want durability, hail and chip resistance, and beauty. You want James Hardy cement fiber siding. Carp's Complete Home Exteriors is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor. Call Carp's today or visit carpsomaha.com.
Your Omaha area forecast presented by Bellevue Berry and Pumpkin Ranch from the KETV Newswatch 7 Weather Center on 1620 The Zone.
An estimated 80% of Americans aren't getting their recommended daily amount of physical activity. It's time to move and keep moving, America. And when you need help, physical therapists and physical therapist assistants are by your side. Be your own champion. Choose more movement. Choose better health. Choose physical therapy. Find out more information and a physical therapist at choosept.com/NE. Brought to you by the American Physical Therapy Association of Nebraska.
Football season underway. We're about to enter week number 5 of the NFL. Perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now, new customers, you're going to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. How great is that? But you got to use the promo code, the only promo code that works. It's ZONE, ZONE. You know, with FanDuel, it's easy to use. Your winnings, you get them quickly. Live betting as well. It gives you everything that you want as a bettor, and it's all on the app that is safe and secure and super easy to use. So today, sign up using promo code ZONE for your no-sweat first bet. Once you sign up, you'll see on the app, it gives you the option. Use the promo code ZONE, though, to get that option and make every moment more. This season with FanDuel, the official sportsbook betting partner of the NFL. 21 and over, present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. Refund issued is non-withdrawable. Free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard has something fun for all ages. New this year is Stefan's Country Drive. Antique cars where the kids are in the driver's seat. Plus, there's a new carousel. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard is also opening a whole new part of the farm, the cider mill, with more than 50 other attractions included with admission. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard is the place to be this fall. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard, Gretna, Nebraska. Now open through October 31st.
If you love food, love fun, love fall, you'll love Vallis Pumpkin Patch best of all.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
Wondering about possible wind or hail damage? Call Shamrock Roofing first. If you have it, we'll find it. One call does it all. Call Shamrock Roofing today, 913-850-6556, or online at shamrockroofer.com.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and more. Join the show immediately after the game and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction on 1019 The Keg and 1620 The Zone.
Rally House, shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
Get ready for kickoff, Omaha. Rally House has the game day gear you're looking for, including Chiefs sideline gear and the latest college styles.
Nebraska Cornhuskers, Creighton Blue Jays, Hawkeye Cyclones, Chiefs and Royals. Rally House, Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's the Rally House.
Gear up in-store and online at rallyhouse.com.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Here's to days spent roaming, and to sleeping beneath the stars, to casting another line and letting time float by. From Shadron State Park to Indian Cave State Park and every recreation area, historical, and state park in between. Here's to your adventures, your memories. Here's to going out and enjoying your Nebraska State Parks. Plan your next trip today at yournebraskaparks.org. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
1620 The Zone.
This discussion about Casey Thompson, who did turn 24 yesterday.
An adult.
An old man.
Full grown.
Are we going to adjust the games started on the tote board for Casey Thompson? Going with 12 games started, or will there be a game that Chubba Purdy will start due to an injury?
Yeah, so that's the only way, right? I mean, I don't think he's getting benched as a starter for performance.
No.
I mean, he's taken a lot of hits already. If I had to place,
and I don't think he doesn't necessarily he opens himself to taking some big time
because he does hold on to the ball a little too long. We saw that on Saturday. He's going to face better defenses and defensive lines than he faced on Saturday. I still have a lot of question marks about that offensive line. I would probably bet that he doesn't start at least one game because of injury. Like I think he's going to take too many hits.
So if you're saying publicly, you know what, T.O. did it, he'd have a sit on you're possibly preparing your backup to play a little bit more if needed and thrown into that situation so that they are ready to play. I wonder why still no Logan Smothers.
Yeah.
Even a Bam, let's run a play. Let's have a quarterback run element, a little change up, then in, out, Casey Thompson back in. Because remember, we saw the one where Purdy came in, and then he came out, and Casey Thompson came back in. Instead of a series, it was just a play.
So I wonder,
because Purdy is not the type of runner that smothers.
Sure. First I wonder if it would have been a whole series if Purdy doesn't fumble, and I think that was going to be a full series. That was my understanding by the way Coach Joseph was talking about it. It seemed like that was the intention. Obviously, we didn't get that far, right? So that kind of put a damper on that. I wonder if Smothers is just so far behind the other two in terms of the quarterback room. And really the only reason you would see him out there is that quarterback run game you talked about. But it felt a lot like that was the Frost part of the offense that was bleeding in. And maybe they've just tossed that. Maybe that part of the playbook has been chucked. And it's strictly the Whipple offense now. That would be my guess. That would be why I would think we haven't seen Smothers. And I don't really anticipate seeing him either.
Andy Kendi coming next.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis. Get this date marked on your calendar, Sunday, October the 23rd, because that is the date for their 4-person fall scramble. Only $300 for you and 3 others. You'll, of course, get the golf, the cart, tee gift prizes. You'll get fed lunch and more. It will be an 11 a.m. shotgun start. Sign up today at their website, miraclehillgolf.com/store. They're located just north of Dodge on 120th Street. Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis.
Hey, find your next truck at Woodhouse Buick GMC, no matter whether you're looking for business or for pleasure, whatever task you need tackling as a job truck, or go to the lake. You can find a capable GMC truck that is perfect for you, like the Sierra 1500. Advanced technology, large touchscreen, and comfortable to ride and drive with leather interior, power in the front, great towing capability in the back. So you can elevate your driving experience in the Sierra 1500 or whatever GMC truck that suits your need. They offer technology, features that come together and enhance your whole experience. Find them today in person, indoor climate-controlled showroom, 119th and I, or online at Woodhouse Buick GMC. Do it today, Woodhouse Buick GMC. We are professional grade.
Now live on Twitch, YouTube, and 1620thezone.com.
Sonic has something delicious for you. Hey, announcer guy, that's your cue.
With the Sonic 2 for $5 menu, mix and match a quarter-pound double cheeseburger, small jumbo popcorn chicken, or a Fritos chili cheese wrap. Any two for just $5.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm definitely craving that previously mentioned thing. The Sonic 2 for $5 menu. Sonic.
Exclusions apply. Limited time only at participating Sonic drive-ins. Fritos is a trademark of Frito-Lay North America Incorporated. Copyright 2022.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Football season is underway, and my good friends at Tickets for Less have you covered. Ticketsforless.com has by far the best selection of Husker tickets, and they also are your source for the largest selection of Kansas City Chief tickets, all at the lowest prices. What a winning deal. Tickets for Less, you never pay hefty per-ticket service fees like you do on the other sites, so you can save big money. So when it's time to lock in your seats for the next big game, be sure to head over to ticketsforless.com or call 402-398-1999 now to work with the greatest customer care team. Your game day starts at ticketsforless.com.
Genesis Health Clubs is celebrating its 36th anniversary, and you're invited. Join for just 36 cents and get the rest of the year for free. This offer has been extended for a limited time. Hi, I'm Rodney Stephen, owner of Genesis Health Clubs, thanking you for the last 36 years. Without you, we wouldn't be here, and we're here for your results. We're here to help you feel better, look better, and have more energy, and be able to enjoy all life has to offer by improving your health. Celebrate Genesis Health Club's 36th anniversary by joining today for just 36 cents and get the rest of the year for free. Offer extended. That's 36 years of results, 36 years of better mood, concentration, and focus, 36 years of crushed goals, 36 years of mental and physical strength, 36 years of members achieving their absolute best, and now it's your turn. So get fit, have fun, and celebrate 36 years with us. Join Genesis Health Clubs for just 36 cents and the rest of the year for free. This offer has been extended for a limited time. Find your fitness home at genesishealthclubs.com.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Brookside Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Brookside Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 402-671-7777. That's 402-671-7777. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Brookside Medical Clinic now. 402-671-7777.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
3 weeks. It's incredible. After 3 weeks, I'm on vacation in Paris, having a conversation in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel. Évidemment. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back in. Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. And they also bring to you Andy Kendi from KTV. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
I'm awesome. It's great. It's kind of a short week. We actually leave for New Jersey tomorrow, Tyler White and myself. Kind of a weird week because we've got that juggling act on Friday night. Normally, obviously, high school football Friday. We're gonna have to split it up a little bit and kind of share some time with a 6 p.m. start. We're banking on the game being over. We're pretty confident in that, right? 6 o'clock start will be over by 10:20.
I would hope so. But this is college football with long half times.
I'm knocking on wood right now because we're asking for it. We're asking for it.
So will you be doing a live shot from the stadium on Friday night?
Great question. Great question. We're working out the logistics. We will have the capabilities of doing so. But as you know, some of the decisions you make, you have one live one way to get a live signal out. Now, do you sacrifice a live shot to give you post game? So that's what we're kind of juggling about that.
All right.
Well, we'll probably prioritize hearing from Mickey Joseph than hearing from my ugly mug.
Hey, let's use your background and your connections on what happened in Madison on Sunday. What do you think the future of Wisconsin football looks like now after Wisconsin does something that is quite unique to the University of Wisconsin football program?
Well, I think it was one of those moves that was more surprising nationally than locally. Talking to my guys within, they said that there seemed to be a movement that fell out of favor for Paul Chryst earlier this year for whatever reason. And kind of like the Frost move, they were surprised at the timing that it came this early. But after seeing what Illinois did to them, Brett Bielema, a former Wisconsin head coach, in his return to Camp Randall Stadium, first time back, they did what Wisconsin used to do to people. They ran all over them. They played opportunistic defense and took care of the football while forcing turnovers and scoring points off those turnovers. I think that was enough for the people in power to say, hey, let's make a move. Now, I was talking to Tom Chattel yesterday. I contend that this has much if it's going to happen with 6 teams tied at 1-1 and 1 team at 0-2 being Wisconsin, now is the right time to do it. You heard Chris McIntosh, who's the Wisconsin AD, a former Badger offensive lineman and first-round draft pick, say some of the same things that Trev said. We want to give the kids the most opportunities to have a successful season, and this is the time to do it. But twofold, I think they want to give Jim Leonard a long enough runway for him to prove that he is, in fact, the next guy worthy of that head coaching job. So I think it's a fascinating move. I was caught off guard by it, but when you take a look back, maybe it does make some sense at this point. Now, the thing that I am puzzled with, and maybe you can explain it to me, and if Paul Chryst is due $20 million on a buyout and they negotiate it to $11 million, I don't want Paul Chryst's lawyer. Like, how does that work?
I don't, doesn't it, because you ask that of people that follow the program, and some will say, well, it's a good guy move. He wanted to protect his legacy. He wanted to, move on quickly. Yeah, he left $9 million on the table.
I'm not sure I like anybody enough to give up $9 million.
I know, right? I mean, you can call me what you want for $9 million, right? I mean, I will say though, Paul Chryst he's a guy who's he was a loved coach. He was a Wisconsin guy, true and true. Grew up in the state. His dad was a longtime coach. He was Barry's guy. Barry Alvarez brought him back. A longtime assistant under Barry and Barrett in the program and what have you, and then went to Pittsburgh, and then Barry brought him back to run the show. So that's the other thing, because while Barry Alvarez is not the AD, obviously he is the chairman of the board, so to speak. I mean, everything's got to go through Barry. And, I would think, I don't know this for sure, but I would think he'd have to give he would have to sign off on this move in some sort of way. Again, I don't know the inner workings there, but that's what makes this whole thing fascinating. And they go from a Wisconsin guy to another Wisconsin guy, kind of like the Nebraska situation. And I've heard parallels already being whispered, not even whispered, spoken. Like, does Wisconsin know what they're doing here? Because, we saw this when Frank Solich was shown the door years ago, and that seemed to not work out for the team in Lincoln.
Andy, let me ask you, you mentioned the tide had turned against Paul Chryst a little bit this year. Was that mostly kind of what people viewed as regressing results on the field? Was there a concern about kind of recruiting and getting talent in there? Or I guess what was causing the tide to turn against Chryst this year?
Well, I think it's a handful of issues. I don't think it's all just one thing. Results on the field is the bottom line, but if you take a step back, they have never been a recruiting powerhouse, but what they have been able to do over the years is develop their players. And I don't know if that development had occurred in such great numbers these last few years. And what struck me, because, with the night game on Saturday, I was really able to watch and listen to a lot of that game on Saturday. What struck me is just how physical Illinois was and how the lack of physicality on Wisconsin's side. Like, if there was one thing that you knew going into Camp Randall, is that Wisconsin could run the football. Mm-hmm. I mean, when Braylon Allen runs it, 8 times for 2 yards or whatever, there's something going on here. I mean, that is puzzling to me. And I don't know what happened, if it was some kind of result of that goofy COVID year when Wisconsin had to shut down the program and, all that stuff. And if that led to recruiting misses but not just that, it's the lack of development. And I think that all came to a head on Saturday because, we would joke with what, you got to out Nebraska. Well, Illinois out Wisconsin last Saturday. And that is really, I think, the bottom line. When they saw a former head coach come in, first time back, and just dominate the home team on the home turf, and Brett's been there for a hot minute. He's been there for 15 games, or not even that. And that was startling to me. And now that they're going to make a change, I think it's, who do they go with if it's not Jim Leonard? Well, Lance Leipold is the obvious name. He's a Wisconsin guy. He grew up in the state. He worked there. He was also we know his ties here in Nebraska, but he was a dominant head coach at the Division III level at UW Whitewater. And so that, if nothing else, I'd like to be Lance Leipold's lawyer. How about that?
Yeah. Hey, how long do you think you can ride? I mean, guys you see after the game, it's a relief. There's joy. They won a game on Saturday night. You see them yesterday. Guys are, the shoulders are more upright. Their voice is deeper. They smile a little bit more. How much carryover do you think, just guys being self-confident that they got validated for the work they put in on Saturday night, can carry this football team?
I think that can be a portable thing. I do think that. Now, there can be a danger in that you put so much into a game and you finally get that intended result, and then there's almost a letdown. I didn't sense that at all yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I got the opposite. Like, hey, we got a taste of this, and now we want more. And furthermore, I think the bigger thing of all of that is that they have been told for years, if you do it this way, your results will come. Well, finally, they do it the way. They follow directions. They play hard. They play aggressive. They play with their hair on fire, what have you. And they got the intended result. Now they see that process works. And now they have the confidence that they can, if they do the same things, they can replicate the results. Now, obviously, it's not going to be easy, but the schedule plays in their favor. Rutgers is, this is a winnable game. There's no other way to say it. It is a winnable game, and a short week. It's going to be, short week on a travel week. Going to be tough, but Rutgers had to travel to Ohio State, so I think it's going to be an interesting deal. Now, what kind of atmosphere they're going to have in Piscataway, that's another thing. So this is a bring your own energy game for Nebraska. And I get the sense after yesterday that they're in a good spot.
Andy, what did you think about the kind of the comments between Casey Thompson and Mickey Joseph, where, it seemed like there was a level of trust and understanding there that maybe has been missing in the past?
I thought it was great. I was actually taken aback when to hear an athlete kind of give me a laundry list of his nicks and bumps and bruises. I was like, wow, this is refreshing. I don't know if that, I always wondered why more guys don't do that. I understand, because it kind of opens yourself up and saying, if the opponent says, okay, this guy has a hurt right shoulder, we're going to go after it or whatever. But I do think it was refreshing to hear both guys speak with respect about one another, but you don't always have to agree to get along. And I think that's good. And I think that's part of being a competitor. And, of course, Casey didn't want to get taken out of the game. And obviously that move didn't work out. That move backfired on Nebraska, putting Chubba Purdy in for that series in the second quarter. But I think it's healthy. I think it's a healthy discourse between head coach and quarterback. If you can have a disagreement, work through it, and having the quarterback know that the head coach has your best interest in mind, and having a quarterback with thick enough skin that can take it.
Yep. I agree. And, one of the most important relationships is that quarterback to his OC. Did you do any lip reading after you saw a video of their interaction on the sideline?
I did not. I tried, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to go down this." But that was pretty good stuff.
Hey, you and Tyler, safe travels out to New Jersey. Look forward to the coverage.
Thanks, fellas. We'll talk soon.
That's Andy Kennedy from KATV. All right, crossover's coming up next. Thanks to Robbie. Robbie will be back in tomorrow along with Jimmy. I don't know, this will be mornings on 1620 The Zone or whatever. There's a lot of people that have suggestions on what we should name.
There's no name yet. There's no name yet.
It is a nameless but not faceless, thanks to 1620 The Zone TV morning show. Big thanks to Sam, BC, and also AK. All the segments are up on the radio replay page. Good discussion today. Robbie, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll talk on the crossover next.
Sounds good.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620